Hey, what's going on, everybody? Caleb here again. Continuing the Backrooms icebergs like I said I would. Today I got the Entity iceberg. I did this one class 1/0 entities all the way down to class 7, and then the ones below class 7 are, I actually had to add those because I was running out of space, but those are extra powerful beings. They're basically gods in the Backrooms universe. So yeah, that's what's going on down there. Real quick before I start this iceberg, I wanted to thank all of those who have given feedback on the last 2 icebergs I've made. I really appreciate that. That helps me get better. Let me know what you think down below about the music. I've had some people say the music is kind of distracting, but I figure it's better to have some kind of background music than just my monotone ass voice for 2 hours and then you fall asleep by the end of the video. So let me know down below what you think, whether I should keep or drop the music. That's entirely up to you guys. It doesn't matter to me either way. Thank you again to all those who give feedback. Thank you to all those who view and to those who subscribe. And with that being said, let's get started in this iceberg. And one more thing real quick, sorry. If you didn't watch the previous Backrooms iceberg video I made, I highly recommend watching that, because I touched on a few entities in that video and I'm not going to retouch on them here, mainly because I was kind of running out of space, as you can see. But also because it's just kind of repetitive for me to repeat the same thing. So yeah, if you haven't watched the first Backrooms iceberg I made, go give that one a watch before you take a look at this one. Class 0/1. As I'm sure you've guessed by now, these are the least dangerous entities down here. Some of these are still kind of scary and do pose some form of a threat, but for the most part, these guys are pretty lax, pretty chill. And as long as you don't mess with them, they're going to leave you alone. The cameraman. Simply put, the cameraman is the entity responsible for the majority of the photos you see of the Backrooms. It's been debated whether or not he's a kind of reality warping entity who can go to different levels of the Backrooms as he pleases, or if he's just a wanderer. And it's also noted that his photos are pretty high quality and they don't look like they're just taken with a smartphone or some junk ass camera. They actually look like high quality, professionally done photos. So take from it what you will, whether or not the cameraman is a regular human like you and me, or some form of an entity. Capybaras. I like capybaras. Capybaras are entities found in various levels, and they are very social animals. They are found in groups from 3 individuals up to 15. Upon encountering a wanderer, they will protect them from the next threat that they face, unlike their counterparts on level 9666. Capybaras have been recorded to fight smilers, skin stealers, female deathmoths, hounds, and others. Just like their front room's counterpart, they are semi-aquatic and enjoy swimming. They mostly drink almond water and neon water, but will still drink standard water when possible. It is unknown if they fully exist in level 6, but wanderers claim hearing capybara barks in other levels. In a nutshell, these are big therapy animals that you want to come across when you're in the Backrooms having a mental breakdown because you don't know how you're going to get out of the Backrooms. Cats with a K. It is recommended that any instance of Entity 17, cats, be left alone or with dignity, as behind these cute innocent fluff balls might be something concealed within. Out of our range of comprehension, it may be capable of causing major injuries in whatever form that may be. However, it shall spare those who appreciate it. Cats are similar to their counterpart in the front room, also named cats. They can be found on various levels, and they have claws, teeth, hair, ears, whiskers, all that good stuff. Entity 17 can be domesticated and exceedingly endorsed, as cats have shown to improve mental health. Entity 17 is rarely seen because they rely on stealth so much, and they fear creatures that are bigger than them, usually making them sprint away. Though, as a result of their height, they are deeply sluggish. Any form of typical harm is negated by these entities. It is undetermined how these entities can perform this, as further research is required. Entity 17 also has 2 types of variants, and thus far both of them have been demonstrated to be based on nature. These variants can be distinguishable from ordinary versions of cats, however, they are important enough to be settled in a zone of this page. The first variation is nature. This variation looks identical to felines from reality, however, there are essential differences that alter the look enough to be separated from ordinary cats. Nature has a green mist around it at all times. It possesses white-green colored eyes and does not retain pupils. Nature has the ability to generate gas in the surrounding areas as well as enter the gray plane The powers he possesses greatly hinge on the environment. Nonetheless, he prefers to be harmonious unless whomever stumbles upon nature decides to engage it in combat. The second variation of the entity, Cats, is called Stormy. Stormy's fur is black instead of white. He has purple hue colored eyes. Like nature, Stormy doesn't have pupils. Stormy has some curious ability, including weather manipulation, natural disaster modification, and other weathered style powers. A noteworthy mention is that Stormy increases his potential once injured, as Stormy has been identified with electric bolts of some sort or some sort of particles around him. It is recommended you do not annoy Stormy, as he presents less remorse towards wanderers. However, Stormy is still passive towards them. It is recommended at all times you keep your distance from this variant once it's in combat, as it can greatly injure someone. It is rather reckless with its attacks and is more chaotic instead of precise. Kind of like a real storm. The Hamster. Many used to believe that the hamster was just a scaled up version of the regular hamsters from the front rooms. However, it was recently discovered that it is able to float and has teleportation abilities, being able to teleport not only itself, but other objects and entities. This fact has been witnessed alongside the fact that dangerous entities are likely to be attacked by the hamster, who often scratches, bites, and in last case teleports entities away. The hamster is in general a passive and calm being. They can often be seen getting something to eat at Starbucks or looking for a great spot to nap at IKEA. Also, it's located in level triangle, which I'm not familiar with. I'm assuming it's like a town, so yeah. Although this entity will be on alert as soon as it hears any strange sounds, it might go check if it is a foreign entity invading the level. If it is a really harmful entity, the hamster will acquire an aggressive behavior and will fight the invader, occasionally sending it to another level. This can be considered a warding behavior, in which he protects his home intentionally or not. Humans, interestingly, despite having the ability to teleport and float, he seems to prefer not to. And this may explain how it took so long for humans to discover these powers. So basically, you come across this big ass hamster, leave him be, and yeah, he won't teleport you to somewhere worse. Porgius. Porgius is a Cyclops entity found in level 908. Its one eyeball takes up its entire body apart from its legs. Porgius has stubby but strong legs to keep it standing. The Porgius wanders around and does not pose harm to wanderers. They have very low intellect and are commonly preyed on by smilers because of this. The Porgius will run away from any loud noises and sharp movements. Instead of bones, Porgiuses have thick, squishy fat to protect it. The only bones are found in its legs. Because of its stubby legs, if a Porgius were to bend over, it would fall over and be unable to get up until it dies or is helped. Porgius have dull yellow skin, while females have dull green skin. The skin is an extra protective layer and is about 5 centimeters thick. Porgius has a small slit underneath its body that it uses to consume food like moss. A Porgius' brain-body ratio is similar to that of an ostrich. The lifespan of a Porgius is about 7 months. Porgius breed by male and female bashing heads. Observers theorize that the action sends a pulse to the female's body to create an egg. Huh. A weird, harmless entity. This is probably the least harmful entity you can encounter in the Backrooms. The Mail Carrier. The Mail Carrier is an entity that delivers mail to the people in the front rooms. Unlike the mail carriers in the front rooms, the only type of mail the mail carrier handles are diaries and journals of those who have unfortunately succumbed to the horrors of the Backrooms. That's pretty freaking cool, actually. The mail carrier isn't hostile towards wanderers. It can still indirectly have negative effects on those who are unlucky enough to experience them, some of them being feelings of paranoia when stalked by the mail carrier, disappearing within a week after reading the mail, lost diaries mailed by the mail carrier in the front rooms, odd behaviors when reading and subsequently reading mail given by the entity. It is a pretty neat entity, and if you don't know how to read, you're probably in a pretty good spot. Okay, that was a really bad joke. I apologize. The Conductor. You may remember in the last video we touched on the Dark Metro, which was a secret level. If you weren't aware, or if you didn't figure it out in the last video, there's also a counterpart to that, which is just the regular Metro, and the Conductor drives the train in the regular Metro. There's really not too much to say about this guy. He usually takes the appearance of a young kid. He always takes the appearance of what seems to be a young kid. I don't believe he's hostile. He's a pretty neutral entity. He's just kind of whatever. I'm sure if you went up and insulted him to his face, he'd probably knock you on your ass and kick you off the train, but other than that, he's pretty lax. Translators. Translators are a friendly aquatic entity who take a rough humanoid shape. Their body from the waist down is non-existent. They have 2 short arms with no hands and a head that lacks any facial features. Instead of them having a solid body, they instead have a body made out of a very dark blue liquid, which is presumed to be water or something similar to it. They live in shallow areas of large bodies of water and very frequently poke their heads out of water. They are not doing this for oxygen because they are practically invincible, but because they are looking for a wanderer or entity, or really anyone to help. These entities find joy and happiness by helping people effortlessly translate different languages. These include all languages spoken on the front rooms, and all languages spoken from other entities, from Mandarin to Navajo. They know it all. Interesting. Even programming languages. They mainly speak German, however. Sadly, these guys are quite rare to find, and you'll probably never have one as a teacher. Shame. Womb! Sorry. Wombs are incredibly cute creatures that take the form of a stuffed animal. They're universally regarded as incredibly cute, in fact. These round, colorful entities will resemble rainbow-colored, some word I can't pronounce, plushies, which are capable of swimming in the air similarly to a fish, though they will only use this manner of movement when covering short distances, as traveling this way is very slow due to the limits of their soft bodies. Despite their limited mobility, they are able to move their limbs based on their lack of reaction to sound. It is believed that wombs lack the ability to hear, and none have been reported to have had the need to eat, drink, or sleep. The womb's primary form of travel is a form of propulsive shockwave, where it compresses its body up like a spring and then launches itself forward a little bit. This is not the most effective mode of transportation, and they seem to refrain from producing shockwaves when they are near humans. It is theorized that the wombs use this passive behavior to attract humans into carrying them as a method of transportation. So yeah, if you see one of these guys, I mean, I don't know where you're supposed to carry him to. I guess you could just like hang on to him for a while. And yeah, just have a little stuffed animal to squeeze at night when you're crawling into a corner crying because you're on level pain and you know you're fucked. Okay, sorry, let's move on. Fretmen. Fretmen were called this by the first wanderer to see one. They are mostly harmless entities existing within the boundaries of level Azure. Their full physical appearance is currently unidentified due to their anxious nature, hence the name. Typically, you'll just see a pair of bioluminescent eyes that are incredibly mobile, floating around in distant darkness. A single pair of Fretman's eyes is able to go up to the point where it is not visible anymore or way down to the feet of the wanderer. It is unknown if this is the Fretman being able to float, or change the locations of its eye, or even detach them and let them roam freely around the backrooms because nobody's ever seen its actual body. The Fretmen do not wish to harm any nearby wanderers that are trapped within the walls of level Azure. Any physical contact with them is rare. Visual contact, on the other hand, is rather common. If a wanderer sees one and runs, the Fretmen will become startled and believe there is another threat that they must immediately seek refuge from. This anxious and scared personality triggers the Fretmen's flight or fight instinct as soon as they are alerted that there is danger. While they tend to wander in groups for a better sense of safety when menaced, they immediately and aimlessly scatter in different directions. So these are like the little coward-ass aliens that you see in every sci-fi movie ever, who if you blink at them too violently, they take off. Differwakes. A Differwake is a rejected Heartless from the Kingdom Hearts series that went to the less successful Backrooms series to make a name for us. No, I'm just kidding. A Differwake is what happens whenever a wanderer dies. If a wanderer dies, there is a chance that a Differwake will form. Differwakes are usually shadowy humanoid entities carrying the memory, intelligence, and often personality of the person they represent. A Differwake will not form when a wanderer dies after coming back to the front rooms and/or the death was caused by a serious brain injury. There are various different kinds of Differwakes. The adult and child Differwakes are the most common types. They usually form when people die of a quote-unquote normal death in the backrooms. Then there are the feral Differwakes, which appear when wanderers are turned into horrors like insanities, or when they're eaten by like hounds and stuff like that. There's wall walker Differwakes, They represent wanderers who were killed by another wanderer. And then there are the types that don't represent a specific group of wanderers. And there's irregular, which are shape-shifting creatures. Orb differwakes, which I don't really know what the deal is. And then there's morphing. There's quite a few. Okay. But my differwake, when I die, I need you to find this video. Because you're representing me, you need to be loud, obnoxious, make every attempt you can to be funny, and be incapable of growing a beard. Alright, moving on. Entity 777, the Brothers Grimm. This is a cool one. This is Entity 777.1, which is a level 1 entity. Basically, these two brothers are good and evil, so to speak. This is the good one. He has made multiple levels, all negative levels, so I haven't gone over any of those yet. He has the ability to heal wounds. He has the ability to reverse cognito hazards and stuff like that. And he's all around just the embodiment of good. I would recommend that you look more into this entity for yourself, because there's quite a few tales that go on with these two entities, and it's going to take me quite a while to sum it all up here. Just know that his brother is further down in the iceberg. The Guardian. The Guardian is an entity that will only manifest those who are children, pregnant, or those who look for the good in everyone, and easily forgive and care for people more so than themselves. The Guardian is not hostile towards wanderers or facelings and will remain calm unless provoked. It's basically a good guardian angel type entity. Its primary goal is to guide those out of the back rooms back to their original location or out of level 2. It seems the Guardian does not want anyone to suffer the same fate as it has, and that's why they haven't left the back rooms. This entity is said to look like a physically fit man, wearing what appears to be a helmet, and supposedly it has some kind of a sword, though this is unconfirmed. So if you run into this guy, hug him and cry. Alright, that is Tier 1 or Class 0/1 of the entity Iceberg. I guess now's as good a time as any to say that I did not include every single entity in the Backrooms on here. Main reason was from lack of space. Second reason was because some of them were just kind of lame and boring, and just I didn't really have an interest in them, so I left them out because it's my Iceberg, you know? I do what I want. Anyways, let's continue. Class 2 entities. It's not scary yet, don't worry. Entity number 1, Standards. Okay, so if you're familiar with the SCP Foundation, you're familiar with SCP-001. Entity number 1 of the Backrooms is in the same boat, as to where there's multiple iterations of Entity 1, and I gotta say, quick rant, I absolutely hate SCP-001. The reason why is because a lot of those interpretations or theories, whatever the hell you want to call them, are really, really cool and really, really scary, but yet they're tied to this stupid fucking number. It would be better, in my opinion, to just leave Entity 1, SCP-001, blank or totally classified and give all these kick-ass entries their own separate numbers. And so Entity number 1 in the Backrooms suffers the same fate as as SCP-001 of the SCP Wiki. Just be aware of that. The Standards, in my opinion, is the best one, and that's the one I've chosen. Alright. Standards are hostile humanoid entities that can be spotted through several levels of the back rooms. Standards are usually caught wearing long dark trench coats along with black rain boots. These entities are speculated not to roam, but instead to appear exclusively in dark rooms and corridors. Upon mentally exhausted wanderers, it is believed that standers are more prone to target lonely and frightened explorers rather than confident ones. Although eerie, most experienced wanderers do not consider standers a death sentence. Upon encountering one, however, many newcomers will fall victim to the entity's counterintuitive mechanisms as an attempt to prevent casualties. Several levels, such as level 1, contain written and or drawn instructions indicating ways to safely maneuver around this entity. After being sighted, standers will not move until their prey has turned away from them. At this point, they will wait until they are looking at them once again before charging towards the victim, stabbing their thorax utilizing its bare, pointy arms. The theory that standards disappear once their prey is wounded is the most widely accepted. Standards will fade away in chase of their prey, or in case their prey manages to flee them. However, its deafness effect will continue to haunt the victim until this is accomplished, making it so that the only way to tell whether or not a stander is still giving chase is by regaining hearing while running away. One may spot this entity's glowing red eyes through their hood, as standards are only provoked once looking at them the second time. Notice: under no circumstance should a wanderer, upon encountering a standard, touch or inspect one up close. If you end up coming across a standard, for your life's sake, turn around and do not look back. If returning is not feasible, continue on your journey while ignoring the entity until your hearing is restored. So basically, this is the opposite of SCP-173. If you're familiar with that, you have to stare at the 173 or it will come at you. Standards, you have to look away and never look back. Frowners. Frowners are a subspecies, basically, of smilers. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put them on here because I'm trying to stay away from subspecies. That being said, these will probably be the only subspecies on here unless I make another mistake. Frowners are friendly entities and can be recognized by their striking frowning faces, made as a counterpart to the menacing grins of the smilers. Just like smilers, frowners can only appear in safely dark regions such as Backrooms, dark hallways, and on occasions regions with colors disabled. Frowners, unlike smilers, are indifferent to light. They are not interested in hunting and are entirely self-sustaining. This is different from smilers, who require sustenance. So they go out and hunt wanderers and occasionally other entities. That said, flashing them with the flashlight is still not recommended. Frowners, just like smilers, have inherited the photosensitivity that plagued the ancient crimson smiler species, which died out and evolved into the entities we know of today as smilers, grinners, and rattlers, and frowners. I could not find the ancient crimson smiler entity, sadly. Unless provoked, frowners are passive entities. As long as you avoid provoking or messing with them as a threat, then they'll leave you the hell alone. Frowners are known to approach and greet you, offering to take you to level Frown, their main level of residence, where some kind of hostility is present. So basically, these guys are just the opposite of the smilers in a sense, as long as you don't fuck with them. Wall worms are, as the name suggests, worms that come out of the walls in the back rooms. Wall worms have several, what do they call them here? Variants, not subspecies, variants. To them, about 5 or 6. They have a worm core, which is a robotic interior. They are capable of shocking people. They're also capable of spitting acids out. Common wall worms seem to generally inhabit levels made of soft materials such as rotting plasterboard or dirt. As far as the variants go, there are foam worms, which have a green slug-like appearance. These worms are pretty big. They usually measure in at 6'6", so 6 foot 6 inches, and will move at much slower speeds than others of their kind. They are named foam worms or fume worms because of the black pillars of smoke which they are constantly emitting from the sides of their bodies, which seems to be generated as a toxic byproduct of their inner core. Screw worms are among the rarest of the wall worms, living only in levels composed entirely of metal or machinery. These damn guys measure in about 8 foot 8 inches and normally move at a sluggish pace of 1 mph, although a rare few have been recorded moving as fast as 10 miles per hour when in pursuit of a wanderer. The screw slime is acidic, as the common wall worm is able to burrow through harder materials, hence the name. Then there is the pulse worm. Pulse worms largely resemble ordinary wall worms but have slightly more purple hue in their skin and grow of lengths up to 14 feet, 14 inches. They are often found snaking through multiple rooms and burrowing through the levels they inhabit, tunneling at speeds of up to 4 miles per hour. So these wall worms kind of remind me of the basilisk in Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets, the movie. So imagine a giant snake, but they're giant worms. Gordian worms are considered the most overly hostile of all the wall worm variants, but also among the rarest. Only one Gordian worm has been reported for every 1,000 reports of the common wall worms. These are also the most slender of their kind, measuring in at about 9 feet 8 inches, allowing them to burrow into the flesh of wanderers and slither into the body without killing the host. They have an 8-inch diameter. Sorry, 0.8 inch diameter. So a long, skinny motherfucker. Once inside of a human host, the core of the Gordian worm initiates a chemical reaction that causes the acidic slime of the Gordian worm to congeal and fuse the worm to the person's flesh. Lovely. So, kind of a tapeworm, but a more vicious and longer one. And finally, the colossal worms are considered to be the rarest of their kind, with only 3 recorded sightings currently documented. Colossal worms can only be found in levels with large outdoor areas. These gargantuan worms have been reported to measure about 6 meters in diameter and 30 meters in length, although these measurements remain unconfirmed. So the biggest worm around, same threat. Retainers and light lurkers. Now their retainers are a class 2 entity, while light lurkers are a class 5, but I was running out of space on class 5, so I stuck light lurkers here along with these guys, and they are kind of symbiotic in a way. So their retainers are entities that at the beginning were human, but after a drastic change in them related to the light lurkers, they became their retainers. Being neutral, they will not be friendly, but neither will they be hostile. They usually just want to be quiet. The retainers worship the light lurkers, and the retainers are theorized to be from a much earlier, possibly the first wanderers. The entity is neutral most of the time. It won't harm anyone if they don't attack it or bother it, but they are not friendly either. They could probably leave you behind even if you're in mortal danger. These entities are constantly traveling in the levels they are located in. For some reason, these guys worship the light lurkers and seem to think they're gods or spirits, especially the Titan Towers. These entities do rituals and texts dedicated to the light lurkers. If you see these retainers and these activities, never interrupt them. These entities travel in groups of 3 to 5 people, and they all walk in a line unless something happens. These entities walk most of the day, but when they don't, they set up camp, which is where they usually do their rituals. These entities will attack if they've been harmed, an entity made them upset, or an entity is against their thoughts. These entities can appear tentacles on their backs, similar to those of the light lurkers. The tentacles have eyes, which the entities can probably see out of, and are completely covered in an unknown black sticky liquid. They can make these tentacles extend up to 10 meters. Now if they catch you with these tentacles, they will try to kill you or take you to level 2250, where by dark influence you will become one of them. Now the light lurkers are mysterious entities that are theorized to have always been in the Backrooms. However, a drastic change that is being investigated caused most of the light lurkers to die out. It is said that if they did not help from their retainers, they would probably be on the verge of extinction. They're called light lurkers because they like to hide in luminous places for some reason. Although in ancient texts they are called Lords of Darkness or Black Light. They were even called the Hades at one point. The light lurker entities like to be in bright places, especially if it is a light in a dark place. They wrap themselves around the object and come as close to the light as they can, hence the picture. The light lurkers are hostile entities towards any entity that is not one of them. Every time a light lurker sees an entity, it seems to growl, perhaps signifying that it is being bothered or saying, "Step the fuck back, son." Light lurkers, however, are passive towards smilers. The connection between these two entities is unknown. The body of the light lurkers is made full of tentacles that can extend up to 10 meters as far as known. Light lurkers appear to have eyes in their tentacles of different sizes. The known past, they are believed to have existed from earlier times because some records have been found. They were once feared entities by other entities in the backroom, and at some point some wanderers came close to begin to worshipping them as gods. Some came to believe they were in the underworld because of this. Some worshippers began to be able to heal, even revive light lurkers, making them even stronger. The light lurkers also had a type of leader known as Titan Towers. Their retainers thought that the Titan Towers were the strongest group of gods in the Backrooms. The Titan Towers were described as big and strong gods with enough power to kill someone on sight, although these statements turned out to be exaggerated by the retainers. And sadly, I could not find anything on the Titan Towers. Dave. Not this Dave. This Dave. That little black smudge in that photo there. Dave, otherwise known as the Weeping Insanity, is a human turned insanity who fell into the Backrooms as a teen, approximately 17 years of age. Upon further investigation, we learned that he lived a fairly normal life in the firms before unfortunately clipping into level 0 through an opening in a Denny's parking lot. His legal guardians have asked that we keep his personal life details to a minimum and that he remain anonymous. Dave is unlike many other insanities, as he appears to somehow have retained his ability of speech. He can communicate with humans. It is highly recommended to not attempt any sort of interaction with him. His ability to regulate emotions and keep his blunders under control is inconsistent. The lives of 37 investigators have been lost due to his unpredictable aggressions. Dave enters a hostile state during random intervals of time or when threatened. It is important to not engage in combat with this entity because he has no known weakness. If he happens to spot you when hostile, there are only two known ways to evade him. First is simply to run. Dave is unlikely to follow you unless he has a personal grudge. Remember, this method will only work if the hostile state was induced by a perceived threat. If the hostile state is due to his random bouts, then running will result in him chasing you and tearing you to pieces limb from limb. Your only chance of surviving this is fighting back until he loses interest. The second is offering him foods like moth jelly, which is his personal favorite. From data we've gathered, it appears that the Weeping Insanity holds part of his consciousness and does not want to harm humans unless necessary, meaning that this entity survives off of eating other entities and foods that do not contain almond water. I don't know who I'd rather get into a fight with, this Dave or Dave Bautista. Crimson Wanderer. Crimson Wanderer is a mysterious warrior of outstanding strength and skill, feared for his deadly power, but is also seen by many as a hero. He is widely considered as one of the most dangerous humanoid entities in the Backrooms that has racked up one of the highest kill counts ever recorded. There's conflicting accounts regarding the appearance of the Crimson Wanderer, suggesting that different individuals perceive him differently. Initially, this is thought to be caused by an illusion, but further evidence provided shows that he actually has multiple forms. He is not considered a shape-shifter, as his transformation is apparently part of his power. The Crimson Wanderer is a highly infamous entity despite the fact that there is only one Crimson Wanderer. This is moderately due to his extreme violent tendencies to hunt and slaughter monsters across the Backrooms. Due to this, many classify him under the same category as counter-entities, but he is certainly not one of them, as they are hostile against each other. However, he does not blindly attack, and not every entity will show hostility against him. Crimson Wanderer would often kill other Wanderers too, but only if he deemed them to cross the line. Many found it surprising that he is able to communicate, even expressing semblance of humanity with an actual personality, as he possessed a clear judgment and ideals. Many attempt to communicate with the Crimson Wanderer, but he would rarely talk. And even if he does, his demeanor is cold, stoic, or cynical. However, he shows a great deal of empathy, and he is protective towards the weak and the innocent. Because of this, many have nicknamed him the anti-hero of the Backrooms. The Crimson Wanderer has a couple different forms. In his default form, his strength, he is able to punch through walls and many other objects rather easily. His durability, his armor seems to be as strong as modern main battle tanks. His mobility, he tends to walk slowly but can actually move faster than a cheetah. As for his abilities, he seems to be able to regenerate his body and tools if they ever get damaged. However, the Crimson Wanderer does not seem to be immortal. He shows a sign of survival instinct, suggesting that he could still die, or perhaps he once was mortal. Apparently, he regenerates by using the same life force manipulation which he uses to sustain his body. In his combat form, he can smash through vehicles and buildings with little to no effort. His durability, he is able to survive explosions and barely take any damage. He is much faster than in his default form, with highest observable speed around supersonic level. And he generates a fiery aura during this form with increasing heat and brightness depending on its energy level. His aura is apparently a projection of his power, that he can blast fire or beams to destroy his targets. His overall power varies between average explosions to something that could destroy a whole town. His aura may grow and reshape to various forms, and most commonly a spiritual avatar of himself wielding various types of weapons. Multiple eyewitnesses insist that he is using Susanoo from the Naruto anime, due to their similar visual nature. And finally, his true form. His strength is incomprehensible due to his chaotic, nightmarish existence. His durability is uncertain what could damage him. His mobility is very slow, often seeing him appearing and disappearing from place to another, suggesting he can move through teleportation. I don't know why that's classified as very slow, but let's move on. As far as his ability goes, he can considered the entity of nightmare in this phase. He does not seem to be omnipresent, nor omniscience, let alone omnipotent. Currently, the understanding to his capabilities in this form is close to nothing, but his existence seems to corrupt or disturb anything around him. Living beings express discomfort, intense fear, dread, and despair. Many entities in the background would avoid him or even become terrified when he enters this form. He rarely ever uses this form, and it seems that there are many limitation requirements or consequences of unleashing this form. The most commonly accepted theory is that using this form for too long would slowly erode his humanity, turning him into a mindless, heartless monster. I have no idea why in the hell he is at Class 2. Alright, that is Class 2, and so far the Crimson Wanderer is my favorite. Let's move on. Class 3. This is where guys are gonna kind of start to get dangerous. Kind of, but not really. It really starts to get like dangerous, like, oh my god, I'm fucked. Dangerous at Class 4. Bottle Demons. Bottle Demons are hostile creatures. They only appear behind bottles of almond water. The Bottle Demons are a shadow type creature possessing the shadows of almond water bottles. The Bottle Demons always smile, have small eye sockets, and have big foreheads. The demons only have a head, as the Bottle Demons only appear in the shadows of the cap. If the water is drunk, the Bottle Demons will enter your throat and start to cut it. Ow. Here's what you need to know. Do not drink the water if there is a Bottle Demon behind it. You will die a slow and painful death, as the Bottle Demons scratch and cut the inside of your mouth while you drink. There is no stopping after putting your lips on the bottle. You have to make a shadow behind to know if the water bottle is possessed. The Bottle Demon will only appear behind the cap. They never appear behind any type of drink, Backrooms and not. The only drink they'll ever appear from is almond water. To get rid of them, cleanse the bottle in holy water. After that, you will hear a faint screech and the Bottle Demon will disappear. You can reuse the holy water. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring some holy water with you down here, actually. Paper Snakes. Paper snakes are an aggressive but weak entity that takes the form and varying sizes and colors of folded paper. They may come out in chained paper snakes, folded or cut paper snakes. Their most common color is green. They also have googly cute eyes that work like a normal human eye, pointing in the direction it faces instead of wobbling from side to side. Paper snakes usually sneak up on their prey, but you will know if there is one nearby when you hear paper being crumpled or folded. They can easily take down small prey, but can only deal paper cuts or mild scars to bigger prey. They act like a normal snake, but it is unknown how they are able to consume prey being made out of paper. The paper snake can eat scraps of fur, scales, or skin, or feathers from animals and other entities. They can eat bones, but not the sharp parts. They mostly prey on rats and birds. So, you could probably use these as like, make a small army of paper snakes, and like throw them on some kind of entity, and then like it'll paper cut the shit out of the entity, and you can run. That's what I'd use them for, at least. Wall spiders. Wall spiders are tall, lanky motherfuckers. Normally 6 to 8 feet in height. They have pitch black skin and hundreds of pin-sized eyes. They walk around on their 2 longest legs and can only walk alongside walls, hence the name. They tend to live on levels that are in buildings, or at least look like it. A wall spider will try its best to stick as close to the wall as possible, and it can do that. It will attempt to grab any wanderer it sees. If it is successful in doing so, it will snap the wanderer's neck, then use one of its shorter arms, stick it in the ear, mouth, nose, opening and suck all the liquid out of the body, then leave the carcass to rot. Yum. If it is unsuccessful in catching the wanderer, then it will turn and run like a bitch. It is not very resilient against attack, but if the wanderer runs, it will realize the wanderer is weaker than it and go for it in an attack. Just smash the wall. Like, what's so hard? Literally anybody on the planet can put a dent in a wall, let alone a hole. Why is this a class 3? Now I'm mad. Moving on. Scorpses. Scorpses are scorpion-like entities known for their ability to remove heads from the corpse and use them to speak telepathically with wanderers they encounter. Though primarily scavengers, these entities have also been known to hunt live wanderers and use their club-like tails to bludgeon them to death. That's pretty much it. They are 2.7 meters tall and weigh an average is 58 kilograms and have 5 insect-like legs. And yeah, they're a largish scorpion that can rip off heads and talk telepathically. Cool. Inflatables. Inflatables are entities that are described as living pool toys. They look like front room inflatables. However, these inflatables can have various properties depending on the inflatable's pattern or designs. Some are sentient and some possess what will be perceived as magical powers. Inflatables most commonly look like cartoon characters or pool toys. Yeah, it looks like some nerd made his Sonic OC into a floaty to me, but whatever. There was one documented case where an inflatable was shaped like an entity and it possessed the entity's properties. Okay, that's kind of scary. There's various different types of inflatables here. Most are pretty harmless. See if I can find a dangerous one. There are inflatables that can look like humans. It doesn't say if they're hostile, but it says they're able to speak, they can move their mouths, they can eat and drink as normal humans do. They're aware of who they are and say that their ancestors were former humans long ago. And like I stated earlier, some inflatables can take on the appearance of entities in the Backrooms. As for what entity they take appearance of, it doesn't really specify. I'm assuming none of the real big bads, though. So, if you see one of these, just pop it. Like, you have a knife, don't you? If you went into the Backrooms without a knife, you might as well crawl into a corner and cry on any level, because you're fucked. Noose snakes and noose cranes. Noose snakes are actually a class 4 entity, but I wanted to put them on here, and I ran out of space on tier 4, so deal with it. I'll talk about noose snakes first. Noose snakes are a long piece of rope that is tied to be a noose. As the name suggests, noose snakes function like ordinary snakes but hunt differently, as they mainly use swarm tactics. That's scary. They slither like snakes to their prey and attempt to wrap their head around the neck of the victim. After that, they launch the end of the rope or their tail to a ceiling and attempt to... once their victim is unconscious, they will diffuse from the ceiling and slither to the nearest noose crane. If there isn't a noose crane, they will instead just plane out off the wanderer that they found. Noose snakes can be tamed by feeding them almond milk or almond water or vanilla milk. Afterwards, they will calm down and no longer attack wanderers or foreign entities. They can still get aggressive if you piss them off, but otherwise they'll become completely friendly. As far as neutralizing these, there is only one way to destroy these entities, and that is by pouring liquid pain on them, though they can simply be taken care of without harming this entity. That's possible by tying its head to its tail. This tactic is very useful in low quantities and is ultimately useless when most of them are swarming your ass. The people or entities who are trapped in the noose snake form can be freed by pouring absolute pain on them. This is a recommended action if you know exactly who you are freeing, but this should be avoided in case of the hostile entity reappearing instead of a human. Attempt this at your own risk. I should probably talk about what absolute pain is. I'll do that after this. Noose cranes are a completely stationary entity and very few of its kind are left. Good. This entity is not exclusive to level 2755, the level which they originate from, but there does seem to be doesn't seem to be a lot of them left. This entity is impossible to tame and indestructible. Then how can there not be a lot of them left? Noose cranes are gods of some sort to the entities named noose snakes, and most of them surround the noose cranes. This entity largely takes the shape of a crane. Yeah, it looks like a crane. Now, when a noose snake delivers an unconscious wanderer or entity, the noose crane will attach its noose to the victim's necks and begin to lift with its strong and sturdy jib and trolley. The entire ordeal is supposed to be some sort of event or ritual, and is supposedly called by some the final lift. Once the victim is instead of them dying, their bodies transform into a noose snake. This would support the theory that the construction crew of 2755 were turned into acolytes for the noose cranes. The ultimate purpose of the noose cranes is not clear. They do not eat, they do not sleep, they do not do anything else besides turn unfortunate people into rope. Yeah. It's actually kind of cool in its own way. Alright, so real quick, absolute pain, because I said I would talk about it. Absolute pain is a highly corrosive and deadly variant of liquid pain. Absolute pain shares many properties with liquid pain, except in some specific areas. Absolute pain has a slightly clumpy, smoothie-like texture as opposed to liquid pain's watery appearance. Absolute pain is very toxic and corrosive. It comes into contact with a human, the skin will start to burn and react with the outer layer of the human skin will create a fungus, slowly spreading across your body within the span of 2 to 4 hours. The fungus cannot be destroyed or gotten rid of after about an hour has passed. So if you have any almond water, make sure you drink this as soon as possible to restore and heal your rotted ass skin. Negative effects of absolute pain on your body. The absolute pain is very lethal and explosive. When it comes into contact with alcohol, absolute pain will explode violently, destroying or damaging any object within a 10-foot radius. There is a warning. This next part is going to get kind of violent. I haven't read it, so I'm gonna, so if you don't want to hear about violence and blood and innards, I'd skip ahead. When absolute pain is consumed, you will instantly feel like your head is being shot and hit by a hammer repeatedly. The pain is so immense and sharp that you may pass out or on the spot. Unlike liquid pain, absolute pain is quick to give you pain to your entire body. After this, your head starts to hurt, your eyes will begin to pop out of your skull, then they will begin to hang, then they go boom, then you will puke, then your organs go boom, and then your burnt boom organs come out of your chest, your heart will stop, your brain will immediately turn off, your head will show visible cracks, your head go boom, your lip, it's just bad all around. Don't eat it. Just don't eat it, dude. Alright, that was tier 3. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Coming in, class 4. This is where the entities get a lot more dangerous, a lot scarier, and they're things you generally do not want to run into. Yeah. Death wasps. I absolutely hate wasps. They are my least favorite insect. I was stung a lot as a kid. They can all go to hell as far as I'm concerned. Not bees. Wasps. Death wasps in the Backrooms are basically wasps, but when they sting you, it causes depression. You get stung once, you're going to be hella bummed. You get stung twice, you're going to think about just yourself. And you get stung thrice, your body's going to shut down. And that is it for the death wasps. Pretty short. Little killers. Also known as Micros Dolophonos. Little killers. These guys are a very hostile entity that looks somewhere between a feline beast and a human. Don't know where they got that from. Little killers normally form in small packs with its kind to hunt down a person. The packs don't last very long. It's very common for those packs to just disband after successfully taking someone down. They don't really have a leader. It's just kind of like, hey, let's kill that guy and eat him and be on our happy way. When spotting prey, the pack's attack range, they will attack all at once. They like to wait in higher places like cliffs, trees, roofs, or in between high bushes. The victim is normally torn apart in seconds, and the pack will eat the body until there is nothing left but bones. Even though they don't form packs, they do have some kind of loose community. The areas where they live are relatively small, and they will help each other out when they are under attack to eliminate intruders. Once it's eaten enough, it will not actively search for prey for about 4 days to a week. However, if a person or hound comes nearby, it will attack them right away, as it's always hostile to both of them. So this is kind of a vicious cat thing. They should have called it Little Cat Killers. Okay, moving on. These guys are pretty cool. These are androids, basically, that don human appearance and human equipment, and they basically kill other entities. They typically use guns or other human-like equipment, such as knives, crap like that. They are capable of emotion somehow, even though they're just AI android type things. And they're capable of, I guess, friendship too and stuff like that. Not too much to say about these guys. They're basically your android allies. But, if you piss them off, they won't like it. Like most everything in the Backrooms, if you haven't figured it out yet, don't piss off entities that are not automatically pissed off. Okay, now moving on. Dig esters. I spelled that wrong on the Iceberg. Please forgive me. Dig esters are large black humanoid dudes that reside in level 8561. They have large arms and legs which are covered in a cloth, along with a skinny body and deformed facial features. Although they do not appear to have teeth, there is evidence of fang-like teeth on dead bodies after being bitten or eaten. These entities are regularly be spotted under faulty lights or behind walls. These guys are very aggressive and will either attack the Wanderer or run and hide from them. They are in control of the level they are on, and it is believed that there is one Digster per instance of this level. If they spot a Wanderer and attack him, they will be very precise in their attack. Run at the Wanderer when they least expect it, proceeding to bite and maul them. Careful not to bite any of the Wanderer's internal organs, ensuring a slow, painful death. If a Digster spots a Smiler, they will forget about any Wanderers that they were previously pursuing and go for the Smiler. It is unknown why they do this. However, the Smilers on this level appear to be very afraid of them, retreating into the darkest areas of the level. So if you see one of these weird black face Gumby sun guns, look for a smiling face in the dark. It'll save your life. Night Stalkers. Night Stalkers take the appearance of blank humanoids composed of black, gooey, and rubbery substance. They feign their facial features despite their capabilities to see, sense, and produce noise from vocal cords. Night Stalkers are a level and exclusive entity. They are only on level 9. They are always aggressive towards humans, but are strongly held back by their impotence, therefore making them less remarkable and less of a threat. It is still advised to be cautious within the area of a Night Stalker, as they can still inflict catastrophic amounts of damage. They are only aggressive towards humans. They are preferably known to follow their prey into their homes within level 9, as it is the only level these entities can be spotted. They will wait for the entity to be most advantageable and strike their foes. They usually watch through windows or doors where they can't be seen. To avoid the danger of a Night Stalker, check the windows in case there is one watching. Quietly leave if possible. If there is a back door, go out the back door. If you can't leave, try hiding in case they break in, and then calmly wait for them to leave.
See, I'm gonna go out there and look.
Nightmares. These guys are cool. Nightmares are black creatures varying in size, shape, and intelligence. All nightmares are extremely dangerous entities, resistant to all kinds of firearms and most sharp objects. Nightmares appear at the terror dreams. Nightmares are variable in size, intelligence, and lethality. The basic nightmare is over 7 feet tall and are the shape of humanoid creatures. Lower class nightmares typically walk on all fours and are not very intelligent. Most nightmares are pitch black and cannot speak normally. Because of their habit being the terror dreams, they cannot make sounds normally and can only vibrate the air around them in frequencies that can be felt throughout your entire body. The vibrations of your bones and your fluctuating muscles. Most nightmares have 2 glowing white eyes, but some also have mouths or even more than 2 eyes. Their shape can be any living or dead creature varying in size and in danger. This is the basic nightmare here. Basic nightmares are skinny humans with 2 glowing white eyes. They appear standing on 2 legs about 7 feet. They are resistant to most firearms and can only be damaged with long, sharp knives or swords. The basic nightmares are still incredibly quick and can end a human's life in a fraction of seconds. In order to survive, you should look at their eyes if you see them. Don't panic, but also don't ignore them. If possible, pass through a dream door right away. If you have a long knife or a sharp sword on hand, try to chop off their head quickly. If they choose to attack you, it is not advised to initiate combat unless absolutely necessary. The Beast Nightmare. Beast nightmares are shaped like large animals such as bears, wolves, or tigers. These nightmares only appear on outdoor dreams and higher levels of the terror dreams. These nightmares also appear during a blood moon. A beast nightmare is as intelligent as basic nightmare, but because of their beast bodies and killer instincts, they are more dangerous. Beast nightmares also lurk to make humans terrorized before attacking, but they cannot speak human languages, so they imitate beast noises with vibrations of air. Some beast nightmares have mouths and thus can bite and injure you badly. Beast nightmares with glowing red eyes are not scared by light or firearms and cannot be killed using normal means, so it's best you run away. In order to survive, you should make loud noises to scare them. When they are not aggressive, don't ignore them and don't make quick movements. Strong light and firearms may prove useful at scaring smaller beast nightmares, but be wary, scaring them makes them more likely to come and attack aggressively. Lowly flying nightmare. These guys are as dangerous as basic nightmares with the added ability of flight. They should be treated like basic nightmares and use the same strategy of survival under them. Flying nightmares are as smart as beast nightmares and basic nightmares, and they are also unable to speak. They appear in the shapes of giant bats, giant crows, and a large flying lizard. Arachnid nightmare. This is Isaac's nightmare. Arachnid nightmares are best avoided at all costs. So when we live streaming, going to the Backrooms, we won't try to hunt one of these. As fun as it sounds. They attack on sight and are not killable by humans. That's not good. Arachnid nightmares are at a minimum of 2 meters and go to the height of 16 meters, which is 52 feet and 5 inches. That's big. Arachnid nightmares are very intelligent and can call for backup if a human manages to slip away from their intense gaze of 8 eyes. The gaze of an arachnid-type nightmare can freeze a person and make them have nightmarish hallucinations. Arachnids are also considered commander class and above can speak human language. Arachnids can also speak telepathically with other nightmares without using vibrations in the air. They can hatch small spiderlings when a human hides in a small space that they cannot reach. In order to survive, put almond water on any injury from them. They have paralyzing venom that takes effect in less than 2 minutes. When you see them, run to the closest dream door, hallway, or window to appear in another place. Do not hide in small places. They can hatch small spiderlings to come get you. Commander and General nightmares. The smoky one on the right there, that's a general. I believe the one with the sword is just kind of a high-ranking nightmare. Commanders and generals are high-class nightmares. Generals are the higher class and commanders the lower. Both command large legions of nightmares and are super intelligent, much more than humans. These nightmares are based in camps and are rarely even seen outside of the blood moon event. Their looks can appear like any type of nightmare, but don't be fooled. These nightmares have a presence and aura that can be felt around them. You can feel the vibrations of their presence in your bones. They can kill unsuspecting humans with just vibrations. That's scary. Breaking the poor wanderer's bones to dust in the process. Luckily for humans, only generals can do such things, whilst commanders can only summon nightmares and be super intelligent. Generals also never attack humans unless attacked first. They can change into physical forms to any dark creatures they want to, even smilers. All generals are able to float and fly quickly, whilst only some commanders can fly. And finally, we have the Crimson Nightmares, which there is no photo. If you meet a Crimson Nightmare, there is no hope. You fucked. You cannot run, you cannot fight back, accept your horrible fate unless you want to feel excruciating pain while being slowly torn apart. All Crimson Nightmares are like a hive mind. If one of them found you, all of them found you. The hive mind also includes Crimson Vines, and when touched, they signal Crimson Nightmares to attack any wanderer in the Blood Moon event. Crimson nightmares attack on sight and are impervious to any human attack. They are mostly beast types, and even the basic Crimson nightmare is as dangerous as an arachnid nightmare. Crimson nightmares leave paths of liquid pain behind them. They can also spit it out with other toxins. Crimson nightmare shrieks can paralyze humans. When a crimson nightmare catches a human, they tear them apart slowly, trying not to kill them too quickly before consuming them. Like other nightmares, crimson nightmares are sadistic and enjoy tormenting their prey before killing them. But crimson nightmares don't wait before attacking. They try to terrorize humans while attacking them. Survival guide. You have nothing to do. Running won't even slow them down. Try to pass through as many demon passageways as you can before they get to you. Maybe you'll end up near the exit. I guess now's a good time to say these nightmares are not all class 4. The Crimson and the Generals and whatchamacallit. The Crimson is class 7, which is the bottom and the worst. And the Generals and the Commanders are class 6. I figured I'd lump them all here into one section. And as far as the Terror Dreams goes, that is a level I have not discussed yet, obviously. But it will definitely be on my secret and negative levels iceberg. Moving on. Impersonators. Impersonators are highly intelligent beings able to copy the behavior and appearance of a living thing. Upon killing a human or entity, the impersonator may choose to ingrain that being's likeness into their memory by pressing its hand to the being's forehead. As a result, extreme caution is recommended when around these entities. The higher an impersonator's kill count, the more capable it is of becoming who it disguises itself as. While unable to retain the individual's memory, the impersonator adapts to the creature's motor functions when shapeshifting and has been shown to be able to easily fake emotions. Knowing this, it is heavily recommended to stay away from any known impersonators. However, it is extremely difficult to know who can be trusted and who can't. These are basically your average everyday alien that can disguise itself as a human or anything along those lines. Moving on. Thudder. Thudders are widely populated species of entity that are known to inhabit housed spaces. Consistently in appearance, these entities are known to appear as long-limbed quadrupeds with a singular eye mounted on their heads. Found within suburban households, the entities often reside within large bedrooms, kitchens, and garages. Thudders often destroy light sources, as it is advisable to avoid houses that lack any light sources, as a thudder can be present. Thudders are often hostile towards interlopers who invade households they reside within, and usually attempt to make those aware of its presence by signature thudding. If a wanderer is spotted by a thudder, it is inadvisable to engage it in combat with the entity due to its strength easily overpowering a wanderer. Wanderers are advised to retreat if they can. If a wanderer is within a level where it cannot escape, it is advised to attempt to blind the thudder with a light source. Due to the thudder's eyes being largely sensitive, once the thudder has been blinded, it is advised to either hide or find an exit out of the residence. Washing machines. Washing machines are hostile entities which resemble washing machines of the front rooms. When disturbed, these entities will spring into motion, pulled alongside by wires and cables that are plugged into the wall. It will heave towards any living being in their vicinity. The hatches of the washing machine will swing open, revealing a cognito-hazardous swirling chaos that deals severe damage to the mind of anyone who observes it for any amount of time. It has been previously stated what lies within the gaping maw of the washing machines can hardly be described, though a few who remain sane after witnessing it have tried. According to them, it's like a watery, distorted vision, some amalgamation of distorted matter and wave-like ripples that echo on like an endless tunnel, which leads to another horrifying location deep within the back rooms. Washing machines are usually found in laundry rooms. Do not, for any reason, disturb the washing machine, as they have been known to be extremely hostile and relentless in their pursuit of wanderers. In fact, it has been estimated that it takes roughly 9 hours for a washing machine's aggro to wear off after you have disturbed it. Although not as fast as the average human, washing machines are highly effective when it comes to maneuvering around obstacles, and are able to climb on walls and ceilings with relative ease in order to catch up to wanderers being slowed by objects and litter on the floor. Scary. Scary washing machine, man. And there you have Class 4. Pretty good stuff in there. The nightmare was obviously the worst. Let's move on. Class 5. If some of these wind up on the line, I don't remember what class they are, so forgive me if this happens to be a Class 6 or Class 5, etc. You get what I'm going with here. Worms. Hairworms are brain-controlling parasites that can be found in levels that contain a large volume of water, and aquatic levels such as level 30. The hairworm can enter through open wounds or the upper region of the human head. There are 4 stages to the hairworm's brain control. Stage 1, 10 to 30 minutes after the parasite enters the body, the first symptoms start to show. First, a mild headache begins, followed by sickness. If the worm has entered through a wound, the surrounding area will get redder and inflate. Stage 2. At this stage, the parasite breaks through the blood-brain barrier and enters into the brain. Muscle spasms start to occur, and the person slowly starts to lose control over their muscles. The brain inflates to counter the parasite, which causes sensitivity towards light, confusion, slow reaction time, and severe headaches. Stage 3. At this stage, the personality of the wanderer starts to break down, the body turns into a host for the parasite, and screams violently before losing all of their memories. After that, a desire for a body of water grows. The body mindlessly wanders around looking for a spot for the parasite to escape the body. At this stage, the wanderer is seen to be extremely violent and aggressive. This says crypts, but it's supposed to say cysts explode, unleashing thousands of larvae. The wanderer also spits out saliva filled with larvae of the worm. There's no stage 4, I was incorrect earlier. As far as treatment goes, the only way it can be treated is while you're in stage 1. The only way to do so is to extract the worm and kill it before it starts unleashing the larva. Yum. Stay out of the water. Bouncers. Bouncers are creatures who reside on level fun alongside partygoers and party hosts. They are seen frequently protecting doors and passages into partygoer nests. Despite having no facial features, bouncers are capable of speech. They have been reported to say the following: "Please leave this area. You cannot be here. You aren't allowed here. Leave this place," etc., etc. The survival guide: if you encounter a bouncer and you piss him off, as in you don't leave when he tells you to leave, he's most likely going to beat you to death with his weird club-like hands there. But if you aim for the pelvic area, you can incapacitate them, and from there can cut off their head fairly easily. It's recommended to find a bouncer with at least 2 people, so one can piss it off, the other one can incapacitate it by kicking it in the nuts and then slicing its head off. So basically how you take out any bouncer, really. I don't see what the big deal is about these guys. Moving on. Rattlers. This one's written a little different, so I'm just going to kind of give it a quick summary. Rattlers are well-hidden creatures that roam the backrooms. No one has ever seen a rattler and lived, but someone has, and thus he has written a page about it. Do not mistake it for anything else. It is a rattler. It is. If you hear something similar to a rattlesnake, or you see something that looks slightly like this, it is a rattler. If you see one, the only way to escape is to beeline straight for a source of light. Do not think about smilers and frowners that would be drawn to it. Think about excruciating, torturous things that the rattler will do to your ass. However, rattlers are not dumb. If they sense you trying to escape them and can escape them, then they will abandon their main objective of driving you into insanity. What should you do and what shouldn't you do? You should try to focus on staying sane. Try to find a smiler. If all else fails, run, like 99.9% of the things you encounter down here. What you shouldn't do is panic, sleep, or use any weapons or your fists. You might as well be firing or swinging at complete darkness. So that's the rattler. Amalgamations. Amalgamations are highly dangerous, highly intellectual entities which resemble humanoid beings which are completely made out of human body parts similar to clumps. But instead of arms and legs they are made out of every body part that exists in a human. They vary in color, but most of them are red. Supposedly, this is a picture of an amalgamation. These entities are documented to have no teeth or tongues, yet they still have a mouth. These entities are able to communicate with humans, and they can barely speak English. They often repeat things that humans say, similarly to skin stealers. But some have been known to actually speak English without listening to humans. Amalgamations are said to have a very high IQ, about 247. They will usually wander around a level until they find their food, human, animal, or entity. They will start going towards them and try to catch them. If they catch them, they will eat them. But if the victim runs away and the amalgamation doesn't know where they are, they will leave and start wandering until they find someone else. They prefer to stay in dark, dimly lit places to make sabotaging wanderers easier. For some reason, they are most aggressive in the hive. It is their birthplace, after all. Thus, the amalgamation. I'm a little disappointed. I thought it was going to be a lot cooler. It's basically every other entity that's down here. Alright, moving on. Arania membri, I think I said that right. Also known as spider legs, are fast-moving predatory entities which inhabit several levels of the Backrooms. These entities are named after their black spider-like legs, which seem to absorb all light and meld into the shadows. These entities are also infamous for their metallic clanking sounds they make when chasing after you. I'm assuming that's from that weird metal beak-like thing on their head. They are said to measure approximately 7 feet in height and 8 feet in length, although their exact size remains unknown as they are too fast to have been observed closely. These entities will always emerge suddenly from ceilings of indoor levels and proceed to chase down wanderers and attempt to trample them under their limbs. When hunting, spider legs are able to reach speeds of up to 50 miles per hour, though it is only able to reach these speeds with long enough hallways. They can also use their momentum to knock over obstacles or break down walls or instantly crush their target. After a successful hunt, these guys will drag their victims through the hole which they emerge and disappear. To date, no wanderer has dared explore these holes in the ceilings. Despite their otherworldly appearance, spider legs are ultimately nothing more than wild animals and susceptible to mortal wounds and sickness, same as any other creature. Carefully planned traps and mundane weaponry are enough to terminate a specimen. So if you have a gun, shoot it. Moving on. Elderfants. Elderfants are giant creatures that are normally above 7 feet tall. They are similar to elephants but have many differences. For example, what appears to be his tusk is divided by two and uses a mandible covered by some type of black liquid. They have glowing red eyes, curved horns, thick skin, and his tail has a claw-like form. They roam in dark levels with open space and low entity count. They are usually found sleeping in dark spaces but wake by the slightest sound. That sounds like me. And it sucks, bro. I know. If I was freaking one of you guys, I'd kill anybody who woke me up too. God. They are extremely hostile towards any creature, and it's not recommended to be closer than 130 feet. They can be agitated easily by sounds. You should avoid them at all costs, otherwise you might get trampled. They are extremely hostile towards anyone. When chasing its target, they break through walls to get to the victim. Normally they will crush the victim before eating it because of its fragile teeth. And yeah, so basically they're a elephant that's been modified by darkness and hellscape and turned into this thing. And if you wake it up while it's sleeping, it's going to try to kill you. Castus and Colossus. No image available, sadly. This guy is an intimidating, atrocious, and divine individual who has dedicated its life to controlling and stabilizing timelines. There are not many sightings of this entity, as only one person has seen this entity. This entity is usually seen sitting on his throne, waiting for someone to arrive, as he has nothing to do. His main habits are racing and creating timelines for fun. However, sometimes he communicates with other entities, such as King of Normality and Gary Castus. And Colossus don't speak any language. Instead, they communicate using symbols. The symbols have yet to be decoded. They are, whatever, I don't know why there's two fucking names. God. I'm just going to call him Colossus from here on out, okay? Colossus is an extremely powerful motherfucker, known for stopping, changing, and altering time itself. Giving him a huge advantage during fights, Colossus can summon entities from different timelines to that timeline that he is in. He is worshipped by few but hated by many. Sounds like me. He only resides in one level and has yet to be seen in other levels. His throne is presumably level E. So I guess his throne is the whole level. I'm kind of confused with that. That'll be in my secret levels, Iceberg. Colossus is a cautious individual. He spends most of his time sitting on his throne, waiting for another wonder to arrive and then get killed. The cycle repeats continuously, however, sometimes he talks to other entities in what he calls important matters. These important matters are usually just gossip, but sometimes they talk about battle plans just in case an entity tries to attack them. There really isn't too much to Colossus, as most people have met him and haven't survived. There's a couple different theories on Colossus. I like this one. The theory is why he is Castus and Colossus is he's a metallic robot that has 2 heads. He's controlled by a higher being, has rectangular purple lights, and 2 big tubes to attach the head. The robot can not only mess with timelines, he can also shoot bullets out of his hands. It is widely believed that he is controlled by the King of Normality. The timeline theory believes that Colossus is the timeline itself. It is more of a process than an entity, and the timeline actually creates and self-destructs himself. Okay. The amalgamation theory isn't saying that he's not an entity, but rather an amalgamation of multiple entities, creating the right entity. This theory has been debunked, however, as there are a lot of loopholes to see how it can mix entities and symbols and whatnot. So basically, I'm not sure why he's only a class 5. I would think he'd at least be a class 6, but he's basically a time-controlling entity, and that's pretty damn cool. Alright, moving on. Entity 666, Death Locomotive. Entity 666 is a substantially treacherous entity possessing the appearance of a standard American electrical locomotive, measuring how big every train is. You know how big trains are? Yeah, that's how big he is. I don't feel like going into the measurements. It's not necessary. Extensive research and examinations has proven that this entity does not possess machines and equipment to retain its stability and function, nor does it include any locomotive drivers or anyone to supervise the train. Any endeavors on damaging the train itself, ranging from scratches to explosions, have consistently been proven ineffective and dissipate over time. At random times, soft or more erratically, a melancholy symphony played by specifically 2 musical instruments that are the saxophone or the piano can be heard in the background, echoing from what seems to be an infinite space of darkness. The train flies over the darkness, which is assumingly the void, and it typically does not run on railway tracks. I guess this is part of the entity, the subway. The subway is an anomalous spatial location existing within the inaccessible regions of the void. So, I'm assuming this train chews through the void. It possesses conjunction with the metro, the subway does. This entity really isn't that interesting. Man. Yeah, this just kind of sucks. Alright, so we had a couple flops on class 5. I thought those were going to be cooler. But, hey, it's class 5. It's not class 7. So, yeah. I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Expecting all these things to be just terrifying. But I know class 6 is going to have some really good stuff. So, let's move along. Alright. Class 6. My screen recorder is being dumb, so I had to include a piece of class 5 here. But this is class 6. Rainbows. Or Entity 14. Any encounters with Entity 14 is to be avoided due to certain justifications which are stated in the following article. Do not be fooled by its appearance nor approach any rainbows reported in the aforementioned levels. There is a possibility these seemingly non-anomalous rainbows in question may be Entity 14. This one's pretty basic. I'll just summarize it. Rainbows are more commonly seen outside, but they also can be seen inside. If you see one inside, then it's for damn sure an Entity 14. What Entity 14 does is it basically sends out a massive radiation pulse. It sends out enough radiation to kill a full-grown male elephant. If it doesn't kill you immediately, it's gonna hurt like a son bitch, and then you will die eventually. So, radiation pulse rainbow. Yeah. The Howler. The Howler appears to be a large white humanoid entity with two glowing white eyes, approximately 4.2 meters tall, with 3.1 meter long arms and legs. Its appearance is of a lanky humanoid thing. It appears to possess long, sharp claws at the end of both of its arms. The feet appear to be flat, although it does share some similarities with normal human feet. The entity also possesses a large red circle at its torso, seemingly resembling blood. It is presumed that this is an intimidation tactic used by the entity. The entity's claws also have similar red-colored shapes, which I would assume is blood. The entity doesn't appear to have any type of body hair, and its appearance is described to be simplistic. The skin is odd, as it does not have any reflection, and it appears like it had multiple skins over it. However, further investigation reveals the entity only has one layer of skin. The Howler's most unique property is its ability to mimic human voices. The voices it makes will always be male voices from people around age 17 to 24. But there is a clear difference between normal human voice and the ones that this entity makes. The voices that the entity makes feel odd and are not completely similar to real human voice, but wanderers that have spent days or even months without any human company may not notice this. The speed and strength of the entity is abnormally high, and it can easily outrun a human if a chase occurs. The entity usually lurks around corners, mimics human voices to lure schmucks like you in, and then shows you why its claws are red. A few methods of avoiding this is do not trust any distant voices in the levels that you hear. If you feel like you're being watched and the structures around you are enclosed, like a hallway or a cramped building with a lot of corners for something to hide behind, turn around and go the other way, and always watch your surroundings. Spogors. Entity 67Z, otherwise known as Spogors, are an especially strange derivation of Entity 67, which are the partygoers. The exact evolutionary process that birthed this subspecies is unknown. What is known, however, is that these entities are remarkably dangerous, posing a significant threat to all surrounding life forms. Local communities have issued warnings in areas where spogors are present. Interestingly, the spogors initially appear as popsicles, depicting the protagonist of the SpongeBob SquarePants series. These frozen treats can be consumed, and it has been said that these popsicles are fruit punch and cotton candy flavor. However, the appearance is but a clever facade. Spogors are actually parasitic creatures that spread through these popsicles. Said popsicles can be understood to be the embryonic stage of this entity. That picture on the right is what they truly look like. The true form is a melty eldritch creature. It has an array of trypophobia-inducing holes, which anomalously afflict surrounding life forms with extreme stress and fear. A disgusting odor permeates these holes. Thought to be the scent of rotten pineapple and seawater, spogors additionally have lengthy arms that lay limped, being dragged along the ground as they trudge towards you with their bony legs. Their spongy mass is grimy yellow, which oozes a dark liquid of undetermined origin. Spogors vary in size and oftentimes tower over full-size humans. A faint, warm breath emanates from the holes. The inner biology has yet to be discovered. Now you're probably wondering, what in the hell happens if I eat that popsicle looking thing? Upon consumption, there will be no immediate effect to brain activity. The parasitic material will culminate within the victim's stomach. Refusing to be fully digested, rather, the material will develop into the second stage. Symptoms of second stage include unusual sudden fatigue, inability to gain energy from eating, and a greatly increased appetite. This essentially makes the entity a tumorous parasite that leeches off of one's energy to develop further. The parasite will continue to grow at an accelerated pace, eventually consuming the surrounding flesh tissue. The affected individual will soon succumb to the energy-draining parasite even after death. The parasite will hollow out the rest of the body until only the skin is left. This marks the beginning of the third stage, where the complete form of the entity will later emerge from its flesh cocoon. After the parasite develops enough, its complete form will arise from the decaying body covered in black ooze. Spoggers will persistently stalk wanderers from a distance before they approach him. Chances are, if you've encountered one, it's already stalked you for weeks beforehand. That's kind of scary. They are seemingly aware of your habits, equipment, and fellow wanderers who are with you. Said knowledge will be effectively used against you, and when they do decide to confront you, spoggers cause severe physical trauma to nearby organisms after diffusing chemicals through the air. They will cause wanderers to have mental breakdowns and collapse, making it far easier for them to be devoured with haste. Pretty scary creature, despite its silly appearance. Karos. This entity has a warning on it, so I decided it was best to not post the image. I don't think it's that bad personally, but if you want to take a look at it, go ahead and look this one up for yourself. Karo, as they are more widely known, are extremely dangerous organisms with fleshy appearance. They produce gas out of their skin, yielding a hallucinatory effect that is similar to silos something. It's similar to something, alright. Karos are completely immobile, but they are still one of the most dangerous creatures in the Backrooms and one of the most difficult to kill. They tend to stick to walls and ceilings in dark, damp spaces in almost any level, but most prominently in level 0 and level 2. They are thought to be sensitive to light, as some Karo have reported to cover light sources with an opaque, slimy fluid to keep the area they have infested in the dark. When a potential host walks by, they tend to scrunch up into a smaller form in order to reduce their chance of being spotted by their hosts. Once a host is infected with its spores, the Karo will return to its normal size and will stop releasing its gas. They almost always appear in large clumps weighing around 600 pounds, fatties. They stick to the wall by secreting a sticky fluid out of their backsides. It has a fleshy outside, but don't be fooled. Below the layer of skin is a hardened inner shell to protect it from attackers. The only way to kill it is to find its mouth, which is its Achilles heel, and kill it by destroying the insides. The Karo reproduces in an unusual manner. Whenever a wanderer gets too close, the Karo discharges a gas that induces hallucinations of positive memories or things the victim most desires. The Karo uses a thin keratin spike that attaches a tube to the abdomen while the host is hallucinating. Following this attachment of the tube to the host, it will distribute its spores into the host while sucking the food from their stomach with a different tentacle. Once the victim wakes up, the Karo will free them. However, after 3 hours, spores will begin to sprout from every hole in the body. Despite the fact that there is no more space left in the host, the spores will continue to grow. The stomach will eventually go boom, causing the spores to be spread throughout the space, increasing the amount of Karo that can be spread through a single host. If you want to survive this, there's a very slim chance, yet still possible. Once the Karo releases the gas, you're not escaping unless you remain aware that what you're seeing is not real. No matter what you see or how much you want to, do not fall into their trap. Curl into a ball in order to prevent it from reaching your stomach. The Karo does not have an unlimited supply of gas, so buy time until they run out. After they run out, get as far away from the Karo as possible. Damaging their inside with a sharp object or burning them should kill them. After killing it, check yourself for wounds. If there is a hole in the stomach, you're far past fucked. Your time in the Backrooms is over. Moving on. Slitherings. So, something weird about this one. I typed in Slitherings in Google and it just wouldn't go to that page. It kept sending me to like videos and the Backrooms entity main page and crap like that. And then I even tried entity 223 and that didn't work either. So, not sure what that is. I'm not fucking with you on this one. I'm being dead serious. So, if you want to look up this entity on its page, you're going to have to scroll through the entity thing, which is why I left the number here, 223, for those of you who are interested in doing that. Anyways, slitherings are very hostile entities that can kill very easily. They are a class 6 because of their dangers, and because of the fact that they can squeeze up to 3 tons of pressure, making almost anything that is living killed in near instant. These entities don't really have a face. They're almost just all tentacles. You can find these entities in lots of levels and are rare in levels with tile ceilings because that is where they normally stay. But in levels, otherwise they are a little less rare, but still hard to find. Slitherings are very quiet entities that are good at hiding fast and quietly. For example, if you were to look back for one to see if it was following you, it would already be hidden in the ceiling tiles. Maybe the poor writing is why I couldn't find this one. Slitherings climb on walls and ceilings to get an advantage towards wanderers and other entities, and also so they can hide more effectively. If you are seen by one, it will stay in sight, but it will act as if it has no clue you are there, making the wanderer feel safe and put their guard down more. When you walk away or forget about it, it will pounce on you and kill you almost immediately. Once this has happened, you are dead no matter what. So once it kills you immediately, you are dead no matter what. Okay? Once it kills you immediately, there's no chance of you getting... Okay, I'm done. The only way to escape is to no-clip into another level before it pounces on you and rips you apart. Slitherings are not friendly to other entities and almost immediately kills any entity in less than a second if they get a grip on them. They also hide in vending machines, walls, ceilings, etc. So slitherings are large entities and with long tentacles. They do not appear to have a face. They have hundreds of tentacles, and all the tentacles are very thick. That was a strange article. Mimics. There's no picture for this one. Mimics are pretty self-explanatory. They are creatures that copy you and what you do, and yeah. It said if you hear your voice to be on your guard, because it's most likely a mimic. If they find you, they will either slash you and take you out or turn you into one of them, which is an extremely painful process, I've heard. You turn into plastic, so yeah, just imagine turning into plastic. Doesn't sound like much fun, does it? Yeah, not too much more to say about them. I mean, yeah, I think pretty much everybody is familiar with what a mimic is from games, fantasy, etc. So, moving on. Hey guys, so the next one I was going to talk about was the Playmate entity. You can see right here, Playmate is an extremely dangerous entity. It could be found on level 452. Since it's hidden underground, its true form remains a mystery, but when I click on it, it's gone. Yeah, so I'm not sure what happened with that one. I'm going to give you guys a bonus that I somehow missed. The thing on level 7, I don't know how I missed this one, especially since he's one of the more well-known entities. And for whatever reason, I can't get it up on my phone, so we're going to read it right like this. Entity 20, or more commonly known as the Thing on level 7. The Thing is a huge fish-like entity that lurks deep in the oceans of level 7. The Thing is very aggressive and very rare to appear, and due to this, little information is known about it. As of now, this entity is only rumored to exist. There have been no confirmed sightings of it. I guess ignore the picture. Many people have reported seeing a dark shadow in the ocean and a dim light moving in the waters, but there is no supporting evidence of this being the Thing. The Thing lives in the lower half of level 7. It is omnivorous and seems to have killed all other life in the ocean. It has poor eyesight but can easily detect movements in the water to find out where potential prey is. When the Thing is near, it will give you a temporary fear of the ocean and sea creatures if you don't already have one, which I do, so yeah, it'd be twice as bad for me. Making its attacks more effective. It makes loud roars around prey to make them very weak and slow, and just recordings of the roar can have this effect. The Thing tries to prevent any information about it from spreading, and will usually attack anyone who knows the most about it before anything else. There have been reports of it actively trying to hunt a specific person because of how much they knew. How the Thing knows how much information this person knows about it is unknown. The thing appears to be a dull red anglerfish, and that word right there, I'm not even going to try, combined with a tail that is a kilometer long. It has many spikes coming out of it, especially on its tail, similar to an anglerfish from reality. It has a yellow light hanging from its head. It has large teeth, but most of the time it won't have to use them since it's big enough to swallow a human with ease. It is rumored that the thing was that from the front rooms who accidentally no-clipped into level 7. The thing quickly adapted to the environment and began its hunt, devouring every organism present on level 7. The thing is said to be the reason why there are mass amounts of skeleton bones on the ocean floor. In most cases, these skeletons are unfortunate wonders, but some of them are the remains of unidentified entities. As said before, there are no confirmed sightings of the thing, but there have been reports of it. The first report is a wanderer exploring the deeper parts of the ocean. Level 7, they saw a yellow light in the distance, and it seemed to be getting closer. Confused and scared, the wanderer swam back up to the surface away from the light. This was the first and last time they saw anything like it. Do's and don'ts. Do. Keep time in the ocean of level 7 to a minimum. I don't know why you'd want to go in to begin with, but if you feel like taking a swim, make it a short swim. Get away from anything moving in the ocean. Report anything you think may be the thing on level 7 to the Meg. Don't. Explore the deep ocean. Again, why would you want to? Make a lot of noise. Go towards any lights in the ocean. And also, there was a warning at the beginning of this article saying that if you open it and read it, the thing on level 7 is going to hunt you down. So, you're welcome. Now, this thing's going to hunt all of you down as well as me. Good luck! Servatorants. Servatorants are godlike entities that roam the vastest of the forgotten cities of level 501. They can be recognized by their red blade-like legs and their darker skin. The exact shape of these creatures varies from creature to creature. Some seem to resemble the shape of a wolf, and others the shape of a deer. This one apparently resembles the shape of a Reaper from the Mass Effect series. The Servatorants seem to wander aimlessly throughout the far reaches of the city, but always respond to certain signs. These signs range from irregular noises to gigantic accumulations of concentrated energy bursts. In short, they can immediately sense the presence of another entity entering and trace it back with pinpoint accuracy. When a Servatorant reaches its target, it rises in a majestic manner, it lifts its two front legs, remains for a short moment in this position, and then dashes onto its prey. To escape the tracing abilities of this entity, you would have to release your entire life energy, which would probably also kill you. I don't know how to release my entire life energy, so maybe somebody can make a walkthrough video on how to do that for me. Okay. Therefore, the only way to survive an attack from one of these creatures would be to kill it. The best way to achieve this is with explosive weapons. Crystallium has proven useful for this task. A less destructive alternative, which so far has only been used by Meg, to study the anatomy of this entity is to use sonic amplifiers, which can crack the crystalline structure of these creatures, rendering them unarmed. Unarmed? It's not unarmed. UNARMEND. Unarmed? I don't know. Whatever. They have extremely sharp blade-like extremities that appear to be made of red crystals. The rest of their bodies appear in a deep shade of black. Some have horns, some have wings. The bodies seem to hardly follow a fixed pattern. However, the cellular nature of these entities is always the same. They use their blade-like legs to slice open their prey and run through the rough terrain of 501. Their tracing seems to work through some kind of swarm intelligence, since no tracing instruments could be identified on their bodies. So they kind of are like Reapers, as well as looking like Reapers, and I think that's pretty cool. Moving on. Entity 777.2. Kill Street Kim or Astrid F. Nightingale. We talked about Entity 777.1 earlier. This is the Class 6 evil counterpart. Kim has two forms, humanoid and a demonic-like form. Their human and demonic form does not show up on any form of camera or video recorded images. They do not have a reflection in the mirror either. The true form is that of a demonic-like entity because the producers have selected them to raise as much cane and chaos in the backrooms as possible. The abilities, reality and level generation. Kim created or contributed to the following levels: level negative 369, level negative 511, and level negative 991. reality destruction, reality manipulation, reality redaction, reality looping, reality erasing, deleting, reality level connection, void creating, info incognito hazard abilities, perception interference, distortion and manipulation, can interact with individuals as a disembodied voice. They can be everywhere, somewhere, or nowhere at all. They can reduce people to ash and dust by unknown means. There is a whole hell of a lot more to do with this entity, most of them involving Class 7 entities, namely the producers, which are also in the next layer. So, with that being said, if you want to look into this one more, feel free to do so, but I'm going to go ahead and stop here. The Red Eyes, or Entity 900. This is an extremely long one. I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm going to do my best to summarize it so you guys can understand, and so I can understand too. Let's get started. The Red Eyes are a strange disease inside the backrooms that can be found rarely in a microscope. The condition always has an irregular shape. It will always have a dark red color and can be described as some type of bacteria with properties similar to a virus. The disease can be found in containers with dark red liquid similar to liquid pain and can be transmitted by other humans. It's extreme, infectious, and mortal. It does not have a cure, and the only thing that can be done is to increase the time the disease takes to inflict its effects. Even after a whole lot of time invested in an investigation, it wasn't possible to identify the type of disease that the Red Eyes is. It's not a bacteria, a virus, a fungal growth, or a parasite, but it seems to share properties of all of those types of diseases. The Red Eyes have shown to be able to resist cleaning products, antibacterial products, or even alcohol. Nothing was able to kill them. Did you try bleach? They have only been able to be shown weak to fire, but it doesn't kill them, it just slows them down. The disease can infect both human beings and other living things, including entities, and it can be transmitted via any corporal fluid, including pee, blood, saliva, earwax, mucus, and many more. The Red Eyes are also known to hide parasites inside water containers and other wet places. They can also act as a fungus and hide in walls and the floors. When they act like a fungus, they can overlap and stack on each other, generating a weird, putrid, dark green flesh-like structure with a small yellow dots. This structure will generate red eyes with a negative symbol on the center, and it can expand easily into superficies, being able to infect an entire level if the level has no other entities and given the right circumstances. All of the substances of the Red Eye seem to act like a hive mind, and like every substance of it has the same consciousness. It acts like a group to keep expanding itself all across the back rooms. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how the hell do I know if I have this thing? The symptoms. After approximately 40 minutes of getting infected, the subject will suffer loss of taste, high fever, skin will get pale, and the subject will be tired and sleepy. 1 or 2 days after getting infected, the subject will suffer nausea, diarrhea, extreme hunger, and thirst, and all previous symptoms will get worse. After this, the disease will be extremely infectious and will be transmitted via every single corporal fluid within an efficiency of 100%. That means interaction with an infected subject will result in infection for anyone. 3 days after getting infected, the subject will suffer holes of approximately 3 to 6 centimeters appearing over the skin. Extreme cold no matter what the environment, and all of the previous symptoms will get worse. 3 days and 12 hours afterwards, the subject will suffer red eyes with negative symbols in the middle of them and will start appearing all over the place where the holes on the skin of the victim were. Nausea will become extreme and the subject will start vomiting almost constantly even if there is no liquid on their body. Eye irritation and the skin of the subject will slowly start to change colors from white to a green. All of the previous symptoms will get much worse. 4 days after getting infected, the subject will suffer. The subject will start having hallucinations, and all of his interior organs will start to shrink slowly and painfully. All of the previous symptoms will get worse. 4 days and 4 hours after getting infected, the subject will suffer. The hair of the subject will fall off. The subject will be completely green and putrid. Some parts of the body will start to fall off, and the bones will start to break and crack. Sometime later, the brain will shut down completely and the subject will be considered dead. After an unknown amount of time, the subject will be reanimated, get up, and be alive, quote unquote. It will become completely hostile. If the subject dies while being infected, the infection will continue on his dead body. but much faster, being able to get to the final stage within 20 minutes. And once it's in the final stage, it will reanimate the dead body as it normally does. Living beings that were infected by the red eyes have passed the final symptom effect of the disease and will be nominated as the negative eyes, or the ones fallen in the eye. But for a better understanding, we will call them the negative eyes. They are distorted creatures that are no longer considered human. That picture right there. They are all different from each other, but they all have the same properties. They will have a putrid flesh all around their body. They will be similar to a humanoid. They will all be missing their interior organs. Some parts of the skeleton will be visible. They will have multiple mouths all over their body with an exaggerated and unnecessary amount of non-sharp, large teeth around places that should not normally have teeth. All of them will emit a putrid smell. They will emit human-like sounds, but extremely distorted. They will have a disturbing and creepy smile. And there's some other stuff. Killing one of these things is not hard. They can be killed with simple fire weapons, but the problem is once they are dead, they will explode, releasing an unknown substance containing the disease and infecting everyone who makes contact with it. Touching one of the negative eyes will also result in the infection being spread. Alright, now, if you think you can survive, which I really don't think you can, but if you think you can survive, you first have to know the basics. If you encounter one of them and it sees you, don't panic. Identify your surroundings quickly and start running in the opposite direction. Do not attempt to fight or kill it. If you are cornered, you may fight back with a distance weapon if needed. If you are not in the possession of a distance weapon, then use long melee weapons or fire guns. If you're fighting back, remember not to kill it, touch it, or touch any of the liquids that it may generate when you damage it. Just leave him damaged enough for you to start escaping. In case you feel that you are infected, get a safe distance from everyone else. It will already be too late for you. Scream to warn others near you in this level and avoid spreading the disease anymore. The origin, which I don't normally have an origin to read, so I'm going to read this one. The origin is currently unknown. Imagine that. But there have been some theories. The most known and accepted theory is that the red eyes are a mutated version of the hydrolytis plague. It said the water container with liquid pain, a tiny bit of almond water, and the hydrolytis plague was mixed in, and that water container was frozen and it mutated to resist the cold thanks to almond water and absorb the liquid pain, acquiring a new nature. Oh, that was a long one. This is the last entity for this layer. The King of Normality is a powerful, enigmatic entity with contradicting nature. For some, he is seen as a great hero. For others, he is a sly trickster. For most, he's nothing but an ordinary person. There are conflicting accounts regarding both the appearance and personality of the entity. This is his most base form. On most occasions, the King of Normality appears as an ordinary wonder dressed in a black suit with a red tie and a fedora. His face and general physique seem to shift around, though his attire always remains the same. His true form, however, is revealed when he sheds a disguise. Though still humanoid, his entire body is pitch black with glowing red cracks. Instead of a facial feature, the entity only has one eye and a mouth grinning, an expression similar to that of a smiler, albeit less demonic and more chaotic. The King of Normality would only show his true form when the situation forces him to reveal himself. He has also a corrupt form, which is more disturbing and creepy than his true form. He shows his corrupted form when he interacts with glitches. He won't look that humanoid, and he will be surrounded by a bunch of yellow glitches. His sleeves will be surrounded by yellow rings, which he calls his abnormal issues. These rings are sharp enough to cut off a wanderer's head. His eye will be more significant, and the eye will have red, bright pupils. If you see him in his corrupted form, do not interact with him, as he will mistake you for an entity and end you. The King of Normality is vastly powerful, as he has displayed the ability to travel between levels and is apparently a traveler between worlds. He claims to go through the boundaries of reality, including the front rooms and the great beyond. Apparently, he can stabilize whatever dimension that he resides in, but typically limits himself to a single level or at least a portion of said level. Wanderers often stumble upon him in dangerous situations, as his residence is easily recognizable due to the contrast against the rest of the place. If you find yourself in a room that is unusually normal to the point of impossibility, then it is most likely a domain for the king. His room often contains other wanderers and normalized entities that are docile under his power, similar to the influencer of the snack rooms. This ability may not be visible when he is safe, but he can turn it on at any time whenever he deems fit, or whenever the situation calls for it. Due to this, the king will often be involved in chaotic conflict as a mediator or a stabilizer, keeping balance. Real quick, let's go over his abilities. In his human form, he's able to punch through and damage armored vehicles. He's tough enough to withstand some lighter firearms. He moves like an average person, but still faster. His flexibility, he can crack his knuckles and turn his head approximately 95 degrees. And he has the ability to normalize his surroundings. In his true form, he can easily break through boulders, even with a mere touch. He is stronger than a battleship, and even pool stone barely affects him. He is extremely fast, able to outrun even fighter jets. He can twist and detach his body as parts of shape-shifting weapons, and he's able to stabilize a whole level. Finally, his corrupted form, he can break through extremely hard objects, and he is able to bust iron armor. He is stronger than heavy war tanks. His armor can only be penetrated by extremely heavy explosives. He can somehow float, but is slower than his true form. He can twist his head 360 and rip off his limbs, which can be used as weapons. He can corrupt wonders and rip off people's heads. As powerful as this guy is, and as dangerous as he is, I dare say he's nothing compared to some of the stuff on Class 7. Alright, that is Class 6 entities. Alright, time to wrap up this iceberg. What's going on, everybody? Caleb here again, concluding the Backrooms entity Iceberg, concluding with Class 7 entities. These fellas are the creme de la creme of backroom entities. Most of these are equivalent to gods. Most of these are going to have a very long article, and I recommend you look up most of these on your own, because I'm probably not going to read the article word for word. Alright, we're going to kick this off with the Beast of Level 5. I don't believe I talked about him in my Backrooms Levels Iceberg, but if I did, bear with me for a second here. The Beast of Level 5 is an entity that inhabits Level 5. It's a tall creature with a human body and the head of a cephalopod. It is believed to be hostile with camouflage abilities similar to a cuttlefish. The Beast of Level 5 is something only mentioned by those who have lost all sanity while trapped on Level 5. It appears to be hostile, but is not shown to attack on sight, instead slowly toying with its victims until they have an existential crisis. Then seemingly always die before the day is done. It has been described as tall, scaly creature wearing a suit and tie, as well as having a humanoid body with the head of a cephalopod. This? People believe that the Beast of Level 5 uses the 5th floor as a web of sorts, carefully filling it with furniture and items to make it easy for him to camouflage and stalk his prey. This is evident in the amount of items on this floor that almost look like they have eyes. These include numerous statues, paintings, busts, carpet, and even wallpaper patterns. Now, I must stress the most dangerous aspect of this entity is the fact that if he eats you, he will send you to level 666. And since I know everybody in the world has seen my Backrooms Levels Iceberg, we all know that level 666 is the one level you really don't want to end up on, man. Unfortunate Souls. Now, these guys are, I believe, Class S, which isn't Class 7, but I stuck them down here because I thought they were pretty damn scary and dangerous. These guys cannot physically harm you. They typically hide in the dark. You'll probably never see one. What they can do is they talk to you and convince you to commit that S word, the one where you stop exploring the back rooms and stop exploring anything. That one, yeah. They convince you to do that, and if you don't want to do that, then they proceed to insult you, belittle you, and make you just feel terrible about yourself. Now, this bodacious bovine is an unfortunate angel, and they are the most dangerous of the unfortunate souls. Because what she can do is she screams loudly when least expected, causing the area around you to collapse as long as you're in level 955, which is their main habitat. And if the collapsing doesn't kill you, you're gonna have a heart attack. So yeah. I mean, personally, any of these entities, if I heard them, I'd probably have a heart attack, so I don't know how much the screaming is going to help her in that regard. The producers. The producers are rumored to be the following: god-like entities of chaos, unspeakable eldritch horrors, another higher being in the backrooms that enjoys human suffering. They do not exist, and they were made up to create more confusion, or draw your own conclusion, as human perception is necessary in the behavioral suite. Their true appearance is unknown. There are speculations they can shapeshift into other entities and humans. There are claims they address explorers or other intelligent entities as disembodied voices. It is rumored to be a total of 5 of them, but there may be more, as they can pose as anyone or any entity. Below are several fires describing the rumored 5. Since these guys can apparently shapeshift, or nobody knows what they really look like, I'm going to go ahead and skip the forms they appear as. The personality and behaviors of A. He is best described as a hard-to-impress person. He bores easily. He is impatient and will verbalize anyone speaking to him to get to the point. He finds humans strange and simple-minded creatures. He is intrigued by the humans' desire to put themselves in harm's way for the sake of the adrenaline rush. He knows how the human lifespan is short, so why take the risk? His attack methods: he is passive. He knows injury, age, and your stupidity. It's impossible to avoid him because he can take the shape of anyone, and most forms he takes are usually of older men or individuals in leadership roles. You should also be wary of the individuals listed above. His real name is something I can't pronounce, not even going to try. Humans are a disease and blight to their own kind and their own world. They have infested every corner of the front rooms and now wish to infiltrate this reality. They will be consumed by this nightmare like one consumed by the Red Death. Producer T is presumed to be second in command. Producer T is best described as stoic, informative, and a prick. If you're on a level and you feel that someone is watching you, it might be your imagination, a stalking entity, or Mr. T. That's what I'm going to call him now, because I love Mr. T. They find humans worse than any disease. They are intrigued by how similar humans are to a virus. If Mr. T comes at you, they're usually passive. They know evolution will not always be in favor of humans. It is impossible to avoid them because they can take the shape of anyone, and most forms they take are usually middle-aged men or individuals in advisory roles. T does have a strong disdain for human life and will take the form of a hostile entity to attack explorers. T prefers the form of a smiler. It is not known why. If you are being attacked by a smiler that is not being deterred, that might be Mr. T. He cannot be harmed, injured, or killed, so it's better to just run. And you should be wary of his forms. His real name is something I can't say. He states humans are amusing. They take pause to attempt to study, understand, and destroy any outside threats, but turn on each other in a heartbeat. Why concern yourselves with us when you are in more danger by your own stupidity? Producer G. Sorry. He's presumed to be the third in command. Rumor suggests that she does take a physical form. She usually appears as a young woman of Indian descent, explorer, another woman who's a Meg operative, or a female hound. I don't know how the hell you would tell the difference between a male and a female hound when you're shitting yourself because you just saw a hound, but whatever. She is best described as direct and indifferent. She believes human life is expendable. She silently enjoys watching humans betray, manipulate, deceive, and conflict each other. She does not understand human bonds. To her, human bonds are only formed out of convenience, and they are so easily broken. She is a passive, aggressive in her human form, but an aggressive entity. She enjoys drawing humans into conflict. She loves the chaos that drives humans apart. Sometimes she does not have anything to do with it. She just likes to watch. It's impossible to avoid her because she can take the shape of anyone. I'm assuming all of them can do this. Most of the forms she takes are young women. If you're being attacked by a hound that is not deterred, then it might be G. There are some rumors that she is contributed to the existence of the glitch goddess, or she is the glitch goddess, and she or the glitched goddess are sisters. I doubt she is a glitch goddess, She's probably aware of them. I doubt they're friends. The Glitch Goddess is one further down on this tier. And she's, I feel like she kind of does her own thing. Producer Y. Producer Y is another female. She's best described as bubbly, bitchy, a low-key flirt. She pities humans, she really does. She couldn't care less. She believes in divide and conquer. She finds it ironic that humans insist they are sociable. She laughs when she hears humans say they need each other. In the same breath, they will abuse, bully, and ostracize someone else because of some trivial difference. She giggles in the delight that knowing humans harbor a superior complex and need to put others down to lift themselves up. To her, humans are self-serving. She is manipulative and hard to avoid. She takes the form of attractive beings or inviting and friendly entities. She's usually the one who extends the offer of a lifetime. Everyone else just backs up. You will get your wish, but you will regret it or go insane. I actually can't say this name. It's Null. She says you creatures cannot stand going without. You creatures will sell your soul if it gets you ahead. And finally, Producer S. He is best described as critical, pessimistic. He somehow knows all of your imperfections. He will point out your flaws to you, criticize every little mistake. It is also believed that he can implant false memories of your other faults and failures. He preys on humans with self-esteem and self-confidence issues. He preys on humans who believe they are God's gift to the world. He preys on the human's desire for instant gratification. He is passive-aggressive and hard to avoid. He enjoys watching humans break down due to hunger, thirst, loneliness, sleep deprivation, lack of safety, and lack of security. If you need it, do not have, and are suffering because of it, he is somewhere taking delight in your pain. He usually takes the form of some young man with money, authority, or power. The discovery of the producers, they were rumored to exist after the creation of Negative 511. Do not trust them and accept nothing from them. These beings never suggested they were gods. These deceiving beings never claim they created the Backrooms. They will insist that they are recruiting humans to contribute to this nightmare, and in defeating them to do so, it cannot be confirmed why. My personal opinion is they are working for some other entity here on Tier 7. A parent. That 7 is not the parent, that's just a label for Class 7 entities. Since I'm sure a lot of these aren't going to have pictures, I'm going to start putting that down there instead. The parent's kind of a weird one to just read off the wiki, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit it up with this description at the bottom. Do not trust it. This entity tries to trick a wonder into being its newest child, quote unquote, until they have put all of their safety in this entity. After that, they will not hesitate to consume their child. Apart from the parent's goals, there have been many unique myths about it. One of the most looked into being that this entity gave birth to any regular entity in the Backrooms. A small account of this, and of course the entity's own words, have backed this up. So, very powerful entity that basically tries to be your friend and then eat your ass. There is no description to what it looks like. So I like don't make friends, bro. Like, just don't make friends with anybody unless you know the dude. Like, you went to the Backrooms together. Don't make friends with him. And even if you do know him, like, I still would be hesitant because, like, you guys could get separated. Some entity could be posing. You just depend on yourself. Okay, moving on. The Storyteller. The Storyteller is a psychic entity that is able to manipulate memory and information. It is a master of illusion, possessing countless anomalous capabilities. Its primary power is the ability to rewrite or manipulate reality to a limited degree. This is mainly done through the media of the library and its books. The librarians have mentioned the abilities of the Storyteller in multiple accounts, describing them as the power to bring fiction to reality and manipulate knowledge, memory, and perception. Initially, it was believed that it has the power to brainwash its victims, but it appears that the creature is able to bend information itself. The physical world can be compared to digital data, with the Storyteller editing its code, thus rearranging its order. There's currently no evidence that the storyteller truly exists. There are no surviving records of this entity. The librarians imply that it merely appeared. Due to the possibility of the entity manipulating every information that we have gathered, then there's almost no credible source regarding the storyteller, as everything that we knew could be wrong, and everything that we believed might be fiction. However, if everything that we learned was true, then the storyteller is one of the most powerful entities in the Backrooms. There's even a theory that the storyteller has control over some of the other levels, albeit much more limited than its own level. Due to this, we should start reconsidering everything we know about the Backrooms. This gets pretty complex as it goes back and forth between whether this entity exists or doesn't exist, due to this entity manipulating the entry about itself. That being said, I'll let you finish reading this one for yourself, as it's just going to get more and more confusing with me reading it like this. The Gardener. The Gardener is a boss entity that reigned over the land of predators. She is known by many names, including Mother Green and the Verdant Queen, implying connection with the Verdant King and the Verdant Children, although there's no concrete evidence to confirm this theory. The existence and identity of the Gardener has been a debate across the community for some time. Unlike the storyteller that is incomprehensible, the Gardener has actually revealed itself to many wanderers, but there are conflicting accounts regarding her appearance, personality, and capabilities. The most popular depiction of the Gardener is she is a goddess of nature, similar to elves and fairies. She has also appeared in non-human forms, usually as animals or mystical creatures. Overall, the Gardener has best been described as a spirit of nature rather than an individual. She's more like an intangible force that flows through the earth and every living thing that is born into the land, and thus connected to all of them. The Gardener seems to be the representation and manifestation of Mother Nature, which means her actions is the will of nature itself. Most believe that the Gardener is not only a force of nature, but a caretaker of the living, much like a goddess would be. Unlike most entities in the Backrooms, the Gardener is mostly seen as benevolent, gentle, caring, and loving. There are many accounts of her saving the lives of wanderers and other life forms on the level, which has earned her quite the following. The Verdant Church is one of her biggest followings, seconded only by Monkhood of Mountains that coexist in rivalry due to their clashing beliefs, despite the fact that they worship the same entity. Despite how many view her as a goddess, there are many signs that the Gardener is not a harmless entity. If she is truly the one who maintained her level, then she is responsible for countless monsters preying on the weak and horrible diseases that killed many or even caused fate worse than death. This aligns with the belief that nature is not always kind, as natural disasters have caused countless destruction throughout the world. There is another theory that she is not the force of nature, but simply an independent individual with her own personality and preference. Most likely she is playing the role of Mother Nature, trying to fool people to get a cult following, which she already has. As far as what she's capable of, there's little to no confirmed information about her capabilities, especially considering the fact that we cannot even determine her appearance, let alone her physical property. Nevertheless, there are many interesting notes regarding the Gardener, collected from both evidences and beliefs from her followers. According to sources, she is able to control nature in general, from ecosystems to weather. Most translate this to elemental abilities, but some consider it a spiritual power instead. Both theories could be true, considering that she's strongly tied to not only the land, but also the living within the land. It's possible that she could manipulate not only living beings, but anything with semblance of life force, such as spirits. This goes on to talk about several different theories about this entity, as well as her relationships to other entities. If you ask me, it's more than likely that it is a low-level entity that has some nature manipulating abilities, that is posing as Mother Nature, and it is fooling everybody into thinking it is more powerful. And it has attained several cult followings, keeping it safe in the Backrooms. Moving on. Triss. I think I said that right. So, Entities that are class 7 get very complex and intricate, and a lot of them mess with their own information, so things are going to start getting kind of confusing from here on out. I'll probably do a little bit less reading and a little bit more summarizing, just the best way I can. I suggest looking these up for yourself, because I will not be able to summarize these just. Summitris is suspected to be the daughter of the glitched goddess. She is an entity that wants to find out more about herself. Supposedly harmless. The only ability she has mastered for certain is teleportation. And she has many telekinetic powers as well. She is able to lift extremely heavy objects with her mind, as well as communicating with others. She is unable to control how far things go. However, this is merely a result of her inexperience. Apparently, she has interest in a very dangerous object that does not specify what it is, because her power isn't very strong at this point. If the theory that the glitched goddess is her mother, then she most likely wants to get out of the back rooms and into the front rooms at all costs. And yeah, that's pretty much the best summary I can give you on this one. Like I said before, you're probably going to want to look up a lot of these for yourselves to get a better understanding of them. Game creators. The game creators are entities that are rarely seen on their own level. Instead, they will be seen on other levels, and their goal is to get you to their level, which is the arcade game level, which is a very complex level in and of itself. That's pretty much it for these guys. There's not too much that's said about them. After this, it's pretty much describes their relationships with the other entities, which is really not that interesting. I would assume if these guys were on their level, that they would be akin to godlike entities of some sort, and that is why they are class 7. But yeah, moving on. Star Creator. Remember when I talked about difficult entities to summarize before? This is one of them. Among the threshold of reality known as the Backrooms is a highly agile mythical being labeled as the Star Creator, greatly acknowledged due to his divine cosmic influence and his supposed relation to celestial bodies itself. The Star Creator is extraordinarily in governing his dexterity, strength, expertise, as well as many other combating abilities, allowing him to be a tough opponent in comparison to most entities. He is considerably more vigorous, slaying thousands of entities that even dare challenge him and opposing a major threat to other godlike entities. Wanderers within his presence must be guarded as much as possible, so making wanderers believe he is a savior. On the contrary, many entities despise him, so making him a large-scale threat to most entities. Despite this, most entities panic when viewed by him. He is easily recognizable by thick purple fog surrounding him in a 1 kilometer radius. One exception is a black hole-like ring wanderers can identify. This ring extends for 18.44 meters from him, whilst being 1 meter in width. Star Creator is occasionally located at treacherous levels to ensure wanderers' safety, leading them to more secure levels found within the back rooms. There have been numerous proclaimed supposed several instances of this entity, but none have ever been proven factual or truthful. In fact, the entity itself claims to be the only remaining one of its kind. Star Creator is thought to have a physical appearance rather than elastic-like texture that withstands any traditional way of causing casualties, in some way being sculpted as a humanoid being. It is hypothesized that this entity has something beneath whatever the Star Creator is made of that controls it. As far as his attacks, in his main attack he creates miniature dwarfs, which he throws at entities, which usually kills it due to its heat. Dwarf stars, not dwarfs from Lord of the Rings. He has reality warping attacks. It is also designed to make the level look extremely weird, thus confusing the enemy and offering an easy target, but also slowing down time for everyone except for him. Some entities can deny it while making them fast in the process. His other attack is a supernova-like explosion that blinds any entity within 200 light years, while causing chaos on levels with low sustainability and destroying nearby entities there. There are many attacks he uses, but they can only be explained by wanderers who have seen them. The most advanced is a mass comprehension, basically the creation of a black hole. He compresses so much mass that it forms a black hole. He does this only in his fighting form and usually breaks his opponent's backroom reality rules so much that he either runs away from him or dies. There's also other methods he uses, but they can't be explained by wanderers. Let me give you a hint. All my attacks originate from the universe. Perhaps some aren't. According to the Star Creator himself, he is capable of negating the storyteller's rewrite of reality. He's also capable of creating stars when a supernova happens. According to Meg, this entity can shift between forms in a nanosecond, meaning he can change his entire appearance when on danger without having problems putting up new armor for a battle. Another article made by Meg is that he can change reality even by sending one wanderer to the start of the universe. He apologized later as he didn't mean to do that. Star Creator can also destroy any molecule at any given moment. He can harvest the power of the Guardian Sword, but he doesn't do that for obvious reasons. He also has shown hate towards Killstreak Kim, as he thinks that using wanderers as a puppet for his game is truly disgusting, but he never tries to stop Killstreak Kim's game show as he does not seem to have access to level -511. There's a lot more to this, everyone. It talks about his relationships with other entities, and then it goes on what looks like a conversation. I'll go ahead and let you guys look into that if you wish. So far, I would say this is the most powerful entity of the Backrooms. Schrodinger's cat. This is a difficult one to summarize and kind of a weird one. I'm assuming it's a cat. The article talks about it in the third person. It says it's capable of reality warping and it likes to explore. I'm assuming it goes to other levels at will. And if it wanted to kill you, it would have done so already. It is said that if it gets into a fight, it will not hesitate to hold back. It then goes to talk about its relationships with other entities, including Schrodinger itself. Schrodinger, this is another weird and difficult one to talk about and summarize. That picture is the real Schrodinger. The entity claims to look like that. And no, I don't know who the real Schrodinger is, or what he did, sorry. This entity is basically a step above his cat. He is capable of reality bending. He says he can blink people out of existence if he so chooses to. And he basically is capable of doing whatever he wants. Now, the interesting part about this entity is he talks about other entities, partygoers. I blipped them out of existence if it didn't cost me 1,000 years. Zalgo, no. Smilers, nobody cares about smilers. They're lame. The glitched goddess, aka her. Can we just kill her forever? I'd do it, but my powers aren't strong enough. That's interesting. The storyteller, their pants should be on fire because they're a liar. Mortis, Abel's son, who we'll talk about later, he claims to be death itself and only speaks in rhymes. Sounds pretty edgy to me. I know he's death, but don't brag about it. Schrodinger also goes on to talk about Symmetris, saying she needs to master her powers more. Schrodinger does not mention Star Creator, which still leads me to believe that Star Creator is the most powerful entity, but Schrodinger is pretty high up there. Obviously, as just stated, he is below the glitched goddess. The glitched goddess, otherwise known as her. The glitched goddess was supposedly the first ever wanderer to walk the face of the Backrooms. She has been doing this long before even humanity advanced into modern civilizations. Her real name is Angelica Merkel Evans, however we do not speak of it as it attracts her like metal going face first at a magnet. Her body is very human in appearance. This may be because she was once human at one point in time or another, but we can't be so sure. She has many cults, shrines, monuments, statues, historical artifacts, events, and even historical locations all hidden throughout the back rooms. Nobody knows where such items can be found, if they are related to her backstory in any way, shape, or form. She is supposedly corrupted being who seeks nothing but vengeance, and nobody knows as to why. All she wants is to go into the front rooms. We have no idea as to why she wants out so badly or what she will do if she ever gets out. We have no idea how powerful she truly is or how she got her power, how much destruction she can actually cause. While she does have a physical form, it is heavily distorted, and because of this distortion, it is unknown if she could be hurt via any physical means. Now, like other godlike entities in the back rooms, she has relationships and opinions on other entities. None of them are very interesting, except for the Star Creator one. Each have their own view. She sees the Star Creator as something of the devil's creation, while the Star Creator sees her as a corrupt and vengeful spirit roaming aimlessly, causing mass destruction while she has the chance. So that tells me that the Star Creator is probably still more powerful than the glitched goddess. Or maybe they are equal in power, it's really difficult to say. Feel free to look at these articles for yourselves once again, and let's be moving on. The Keymaster. The Keymaster is a mysterious and powerful godlike entity, capable of accessing the entirety of the backrooms at his own whims. He is known to help lost or trapped wanderers, assisting them in escaping levels that they are trapped in. Superficially, the Keymaster appears like a normal human and, from a distance, may even be mistaken for a wanderer at first. He wears a Victorian-era black leather trench coat that obscures everything up to his neck. With little of his skin that is visible is pale, and his eye color is teal. He has long, unkempt black hair, with a wiry composition and light facial hair. The most prominent trademark of his appearance is a large ring of traditional metal keys, not unlike those found in the front rooms, attached to his right hip. What purpose the keys on the ring serve is unknown, but speculation abounds. That is an illustration of what he looks like. The Keymaster is capable of accessing every level via his keys, I'm assuming. He cannot be destroyed by any conventional means. If he has died, which he has in front of wanderers many times, he simply reappears on another level. And he is capable of unlocking deeper things than just levels, such as memories and one's true power. While a strong entity, I do not believe he is as strong as the ones we have touched on earlier in this video. Let's be moving on. Unbelonging Traveler. This entity is relatively easy to summarize. He is an incredibly powerful entity. At his strongest, he is capable of surviving nukes and going at speeds of Mach 80, I believe. I goofed up. At his strongest, he is only a class 6 and not a class 7, so you'll have to forgive me on that. And really, he's not too interesting. He honestly reminds me of an anime character that's really powerful. Let's be moving on. Hubris, or Hubris, whatever you want to call him, is another difficult one to summarize. He is an immortal, enigmatic entity that's more or less a king. He spends most of his time on his throne overseeing his kingdom, I guess. His abilities are not stated. His behavior is stated briefly. He does not seem hostile towards wanderers too often, but he can be. There are several tales regarding this entity, and I honestly recommend you just look at this one for yourself, because it's kind of hard to understand with me just talking about it here, and I'm sure the tales shed much more light on him. Moving on. The Dark Sovereign. The Dark Sovereign, or simply the Sovereign, is a large mysterious entity who has rarely been seen by wanderers. Those who have encountered Sovereign have gathered vital information which can be placed in the appropriate sections below. The Sovereign is a 15-foot tall creature made of black onyx crystals which absorb certain levels of light and do not reflect any imagery. He adorns a suit of armor made of an unknown metal, which is upkept in perfect condition. A large cape flows across his back, touching and dragging slightly on the ground behind him. Despite his appearance, the Dark Sovereign is naturally benevolent, being welcoming and forthcoming to many wanderers who encounter him. He will ask how they are, how their days are going, if they are in good health, if they need any help, or in desperate situations he will protect wanderers from hostile forces. He sees humans as interesting and has encountered few who I have gotten close to. I wish to protect him. But if you piss him off, he will not be nice to you. If you attack him accidentally as in a panic state, he will retaliate. So he must not be that smart if he's not smart enough to see that you're in a panic state. There's not too much more to say about him, really. He's got some relationships, but none of them are very interesting. He acknowledges several of the other beings I've talked about on this list as being powerful. And all in all, I just don't like him. Something about him. I don't like this guy, man. It's probably that cartoony image of him right there. Okay, let's move on. The Mother of All Fear. The Mother of All Fear is an entity which is located on levels where sanity is lost. Once maintaining contact with the entity, human emotions start to fade away and somehow victims fall into insanity. After too long of exposure with the entity, the Mother of Fear is quite difficult to avoid as she has the ability to control her victim's mind to lure them to her. One can avoid her by consuming almond water, which shall allow one to regain their sanity, making it harder for the entity to control them. The Mother has the ability to bring one to the I can't pronounce that. Although this requires such anomalous items such as liquid pain, pipe water, etc. No one has been documented to have been brought to that place, and one shall never be afraid of this entity, as fear shall power this entity, resulting in faster decrease of sanity. The Mother will kill any who is to attack her, so it is not advised to do harm in any form to this entity. The Mother often lures one into her presence by creating voices in one's mind, which leads one into her range. She uses this encounter to kill them. It is currently unknown how to kill the Mother of All Fear. The Mother of All Fear can be described as a tall, approximately 6'1", dark entity, which appears to have wings and runs at human speeds. The Mother of Fear is often mistaken by it from level 2. One is able to use super almond water to scare away this entity, as this causes harm to the entity. Interesting. So she's kind of like the embodiment of fear, I guess you would say. I would say she's the embodiment of death, but this next entity is the embodiment of death. Mortis Death Abelson. This entity is Death in the Backrooms. I'm not going to go into him too much. His article is extremely long, and it includes some of his origin, his different forms, his appearance, what he is capable of, etc. I will simply take some statistics from his one of his most powerful forms, so you have a brief understanding. His physical capacity: the entity can easily destroy concrete and steel constructs as if it were destroying a sandcastle. His mental capacity: the entity can mentally harm, scar wanderers, and is immune to most mental attacks caused by wanderers or other entities. Its physical state is intangible. The entity can phase through any objects when it's in this form. Its intelligence is 5 to 6 IQ, beyond standard or maximum human IQ. The speeds can go from 200 to 230 miles per hour. This entity is as fast as a motorcycle in this form. Its shape: a hooded figure wielding a scythe while manifesting smiling symbols around it. Theories state that when you come into contact with the floating symbols, it may have a chance to drive you insane. Now, we have talked about a lot of powerful entities on this iceberg and on this layer, but I do believe this next entity or entities are the strongest in the Backrooms. Sadly, with that being said, this is a extremely lengthy article, with a lot of hidden information that you have to access. It starts out saying you have been assigned to Project Wudan, whatever that is. I haven't looked through this article completely. All other gods are nothing before this entity. They are existence itself, born fruit. It is only just to bow before these mighty divinities. The children of the Empyrean Sea, or the children, most common names for the near extinct race of nigh immortal beings who were birthed along with the universe, the Frontrooms itself. Legends from the records of long extinct, extremely ancient civilizations testified to this fact almost universally, even before the Dawn Wars began. The race themselves claimed to have been born within a higher dimensional space, named the Empyrean Sea, and were compelled to enter the Frontrooms from birth. It is unknown how much of this statement is true and how much is a fabrication of the children themselves, so the validity of this claim is questionable at best. They have been characterized as beings of truly immense power. Their near godlike poise, surpassing nearly anything that has ever existed within the bounds of our cosmos. Look up this one for yourself. There's so much to this. I believe they are stronger than the star creator. I almost said the card creator for some reason. I believe they are stronger than the star creator. He may even be a fallen one of their kind. It is unknown. It then goes on to talk about known members of this race. Here are some photographs of them. Most of them deceased. And I haven't even made it to the bottom of this entry in the Backrooms wiki yet. So yeah, you should definitely look at this one for yourself. I know I'm going to spend some time reading this one. And yeah. A lot of really cool stuff in the Backrooms. I'm very impressed with the writers. I'm very impressed with the community. I'm impressed at how quickly it grew, how scary, how clever they are with their writing. They're doing a really great job. Mad props to them. You guys keep up the good work. I'm always impressed by good horror. If you guys were impressed with this video, there's this little button down there, the one with the 0 next to it. Yeah, if you hit that, that 0 changes to a 1, and that tells me that I did a good job on this video. And if you really like the video today, you can hit this red button down below, says subscribe. It shows you everything we drop right as we drop it all the time. You'll never miss anything if you hit that red subscribe button. Or don't. That's cool too. Anyways, everyone, that is the Backrooms entity Iceberg. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and have a great day.